What did you say?
I've already done the reports. 3 pages. As soon as it starts.
Yeah.
I believe you've already received all these. I received your copy. Okay, I just want to make sure you have all. Washington Electric, you've got AEP and Water Community. You've got all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just leave these here, please.
Are we good? Okay.
We make it a record.
If anyone gets really cold, let me know. We'll just close them off. There's no air in here at all. We're all kind of hot. I can't turn it on quiet. One second.
Would you please stand and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome all of you to the continuation of the protest hearing. Hopefully will be our last day in it. And I would note for the record that all of the parties are present with regard to the protester, the candidate, as well as counsel, and we also have our attorney, the prosecutor from Washington County, Paul Boyle. All board members are present. We apologize for the slightly late start. We were just trying to make sure we had our documents because we had held on to the various affidavits that got filed on both sides. And so we're back in the case, and part of the reason that you folks will know, of course, I'm certain that the board was issuing subpoenas. Ohio law, as we understand it, when a protest is made, obviously the protester has a burden of proof with regard to their claims that a candidate has done something they weren't supposed to, didn't do something, not eligible to run, whatever the protest may be. When that protest is brought to the attention of a board of elections, it also is incumbent upon the board of elections to do its own investigation as well, if it is necessary. So therefore, one of the things that happened is we got a number of affidavits. We would prefer, since we continued it, to have live testimony. So some of you may be here at the request of a subpoena that was served upon you by the Washington County Sheriff, and we had asked our attorney, the prosecutor, to assist us in that. So we are going to call those people, although if you would prefer to call them as your witness, that's going to be fine with us. And you would want to know that the board or board members may have questions of the witnesses as well that may go beyond whatever questions you may have. And we may be looking for clarification on certain things. Again, part of the reason in some of the affidavits, I think we had one witness that it wasn't an affidavit, it was more of just a statement. And I believe that was Dr. Carson Wong. And so in any event, he's present, so that's going to cure any issues about what his testimony would be, as well as other folks. And again, we treated both sides the same way. And so we're going to hear from live witnesses. Again, I will allow the participants to call those witnesses as if you would have called them at the first hearing, as opposed to presenting the application. And if you don't want to call them, then we'll call them. Again, provided they're served and they're here. And frankly, not that I would value one witness over another, but I suspect that Dr. Wong may have a surgery scheduled or something else, so Lord knows and in all candor, my urologist is Dr. Sweeney. So I think Wednesday may also be one of his surgery days or something. So we'd like to get Dr. Wong for the assistant so we can go on. So if that's okay with everybody, I think that's what we'll start with Carson Wong. And again, I'll allow, you presented the club, so I'll allow you to ask questions first, Ross, and then if the board has any questions, we'll do that. But also, as we have done in the past, I believe there's a seat back there. Feel free to walk. Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
we have a small room. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and do Dr. Wong first. But if you're if you've been subpoenaed, you've been asked to come and give testimony, you think you're going to give testimony, I want you to stand up because we're going to swear you all in at one time just to speed the proceedings up as opposed to swearing in people one at a time. So if you anticipate being a witness, please stand, raise your right hand, and we'll have our court reporter swear you in.
Do you swear that the testimony that you will give in these proceedings will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you. Dr. Wong, if you'll come, I guess we're using this as a witness chair for lack of anything better. We had been advised that there were sometimes that people were far enough away from the mics and they didn't talk aloud, that people who were watching this, because we're also broadcasting it, couldn't hear. So that's why we sort of moved things around.
This is for the.
Yeah, so
where's the mic?
it's gonna kind of wash over as we're told by our technical. So you may question your witness.
Thank you, Chair.
Which direction is the mic?
Oh, that way. So if you just talk over here, the board will.
Fair enough.
Good morning, Doctor. Would you state your name for the record, please?
Carson Wong.
And you and I have a personal relationship, is that right?
Yes.
When did you and I meet?
Somewhere 2019.
And why did we meet?
For working my lab. We happened to be the owner of the restaurant.
And where do you live, for the record, please?
On Front Street, above the restaurant, it used to be called Manuel's.
Dr. Wong, could you just speak up a bit? I noticed folks back there are leaning forward. I'm a little concerned about our mic.
Okay.
Just a little.
Fair enough. I live on Front Street, above a restaurant that used to be called Emmanuel's, which is more recently called TLB.
Your permanent address is not in Washington County.
It is not.
You live in Cuyahoga County.
Yes.
And how many days a week do you spend in Marietta?
I spend Monday to Thursday, weekly. As I'm on call on the weekends, if I have responsibilities on the weekends, I stay all week.
And it's pretty clear given your attire, but what do you do for a living?
I'm a urologist.
And when did I move in next to you in the apartments to be your neighbor?
Shortly after your son was born, so I think that was in December of going to.
And did you visit me and my son in the apartment?
Yes.
And did you see things in the apartment which would give you reason to believe that we lived there?
Yes.
Baby stuff was in there,
Yes.
correct? Furniture, personal belongings.
Absolutely.
And do we see each other fairly regularly?
I will say yes.
Do we socialize together?
Yes.
And when we socialize, where do we usually meet?
Well, for convenience, we can meet downstairs.
And when you say downstairs, you mean
The restaurant.
the restaurant.
Okay.
Is the restaurant always open when we meet?
It is not.
And do you know what kind of car I drive?
Currently, yes.
Have I driven several different cars over the time that you know?
Yes.
Do you see me in the early mornings, in the hallways?
I tend to get up. So, mornings, early, probably not.
You hear the baby cry,
Sometimes, yes.
and have I promised you anything in exchange for your testimony today?
You have not.
And is it your opinion that I live at 286 Front Street? Do you have an apartment number on your door?
No.
But you know where you live. Do I have an apartment number on my door?
No.
But you know where I live.
I do.
Thank you very much. I'm finished.
What's your address in Marietta, sir?
I honestly don't know.
You don't know your address that you live at for 4 days a week since 2019?
That's correct.
No further questions.
Anyone else? Questions from the board members? Or no? I just had a couple of things, just for clarification, because I wasn't certain during the first part of your discussion if we were picking it up and so on. When did you move to the address on Front Street?
January of 2018.
2018.
Correct.
So it's been your habit for the 4 or 5 days since 18.
Correct.
Okay. And did both Mrs. Labas and her husband move in? You mentioned you always see her, but you never mentioned ever seeing him.
I can see them socialize together. Them as a couple.
Right. Okay. And so it's your opinion they both live there?
It is.
Any questions as a result of the board's question or mine?
Yes, and is it your position that they both moved in around December, January, somewhere in there?
Shortly after their child was born, yes.
Any questions, further questions of the witness?
Doctor, do you receive your utility bills at the apartment?
I do not because my utilities are included in my rent.
So am I correct to state that the utilities that are included in your rent are not in your name?
That's correct.
No further questions.
Anything else?
Actually, whose name are the utility bills in that are included in your rent?
Objection, he just stated he doesn't know. They're not his name.
Well, he's going to answer you then. Anything else? Anything else? I'm going to go ahead and excuse the doctor so we can get out of this work. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And then you're free to stay if you want it. You're also free.
Thank you for accommodating me. I think there'll be a bunch of people there.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
You have an order? Well, I guess we better start over here. Yeah.
I would just call Mrs. Lovis' name.
Oh, okay.
Say your name for the record.
Ann Lavis, A-N-N-E-L-A-V as in boy, yes.
Mrs. Lovis, you understand that you're under oath?
Yes.
You understand that anything that you say can be used against you in any other civil, administrative, regulatory, or disciplinary hearing?
I'm aware of what perjury is and then there's a criminal penalty for it, yes.
Very good. What's your current address?
286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, 45750.
The evidence packet that you presented last time you were here,
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Attorney. We're asking that you please speak up. I understand there are people in the back that.
Yeah.
You can't hear the attorney? Okay. Everybody, please speak up.
during the last hearing, you presented evidence of various things, one of which was a CAS cable bill from August the 2nd of 2022. Do you recall this piece of evidence?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall that the evidence reveals an address of 286 Front Street, Apartment 1?
I'm not sure. Can you provide me a copy, please?
You don't have your evidence?
Oh, sure.
And council will recall you and try to provide me with more copies. So this is the one you gave me. Gas cable bill from August of 2022.
Thank you.
What's the address on that bill, ma'am?
Would you like me to read it? It says, "Dear Anne, thank you for your payment received on 8/2/2022 for account, and the account number is redacted. This payment notification is regarding the address listed below. 286 Front Street, Apartment 1, Marietta, Ohio, 45750-2910. And then it has a signature.
So in August of 2022, you didn't live there, according to
No, I
Dr.
did not.
Wong. So that bill is coming to you as a utility bill for one of your tenants.
No,
So you don't live there, but you do get CAS cable there.
I set up an additional internet line for my own personal use. I started this in August of 2022. The last tenant who was to live in the apartment that I eventually moved into, their lease ended in September.
You also provided us with a CAS cable bill from July the 14th of 2023. Do you recall this piece of evidence?
Yes, I do. If you so desire.
What's the address on that bill?
Well, this is the same account.
Is it? How would I know that, first of all? You
I don't know.
blocked it out.
Mr. Ashcroft, this is your evidence. I'm just explaining. So this is the same account.
Wait, hold on.
And to answer your question, the address listed is 286 Front Street, Apartment 1, Marietta, Ohio, 45750-2910.
Same account that you were receiving before when you didn't live
The same account that I started in August of 2022,
there.
right?
When you didn't live there, correct?
That's when I did it.
And it's your testimony, even though it's redacted, that these are the same account numbers.
Yes, they are.
Now, I noticed that we also received last time you were here, a piece of evidence from the electric company, not in your name, that also came to an address of 286.5 Front Street. You need to see a copy of it too.
If you're going to question me on something, Mr. Ashcroft, I respectfully request you hand me a copy.
I would think that's appropriate if it wasn't your evidence that you submitted last time, but sure. She's your witness.
Call me, so.
I didn't say anything. I know it's me. What do you mean? You said it, what do you mean?
you identify the document I've handed you now?
It looks like an electric bill from AEP, Ohio.
Is it an electric bill that you submitted as evidence and proof of your residency, domicile, and status as an elector in Marietta?
I assume so since you're giving it.
What's the address?
The address says 286.5 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, 45750.
His name.
It is under the name of David Lavis.
And ma'am, you didn't provide us with any bills or records from AEP between August of 2022 and July of 2023, is that correct?
I don't know.
You don't remember what was in your insurance, your evidence package?
Well, you just took the paper from me, so if you're gonna question me on the paper, can you please leave it with me before you ask me questions about it?
Just let the record reflect that the witness is not compliant.
All
right.
I can't hear you. He
You're-
said, let the record reflect that the witness is not compliant.
What is your previous address that you moved from to 286 Front Street?
1160 Bethel, Bethel Road, Marietta, Ohio.
That is owned by Emmanuel's.
LLC, yes.
Is there a different Emmanuel?
Here's your son. I don't know. I have an infant son named Emmanuel.
Are you the owner of 1160 Bethel Road?
You just asked me if 1160 Bethel Road was owned by Emmanuel's LLC, and I said yes, and that is still my testimony.
So you are not an owner of Emmanuel's?
Are you asking me if I have an ownership interest in Emmanuel's
Yes.
LLC?
Yeah.
I am not a listed reported member of Emmanuel's LLC.
And you don't have a lease for your time at 1160 between yourself and Emmanuel's LLC, correct?
I am not subject to any lease nor any mortgage.
Change of address, according to the DMV records, is 2/16/2023, correct?
If you say so, if you have DMV records again, please. Get them over.
I'm handing you your inventory list from your evidence packet that you provided last time.
Thank you. And I do
What's the-
see, yes, the BMV change of address is dated February 16th, 2020.
And from your testimony today, you lived at 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, from February the 16th to April the 27th of 2023 and beyond, but that's the date that you filed the petition. So continuously, you were domiciled, resided, and lived at 286 Front Street from February of 2023 to April 27th of 2023, correct?
Can you please restate the question? That was a bit lengthy.
Sure. You moved in to 286 Front Street according to your DMV records in February of 2023, correct?
Correct. The BMV records say that I moved on February 16th, 2023.
Are they accurate?
I would assume that that is when I went to the DMV to change my address. Yes.
So you also lived at 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio on August 27th, excuse me, on April the 27th of 2023 when you filed your petition, correct?
That is correct.
And you, just to make sure we're clear on the vocabulary, I don't want any confusion, you lived between those time periods, you lived there, resided there, and domiciled there at 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, correct?
So I'll break that up. We'll just focus on domicile.
Okay.
Yes, my domicile was 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio.
Did you reside there?
Yes.
Did you live there?
I'm not sure the difference between reside and live. If you want to clarify that for me, sure. But of course, yes.
So you're, in April of 2023, you were a resident of Marietta, correct? Yes. And you were self-employed as an attorney, correct?
That is correct.
And your office was in Parkersburg, correct?
I have multiple places where I would consider an office. One of them is located in Parkersburg.
Well, according to your West Virginia attorney profile, that's where your office is.
I believe, I don't know, again, if you're referencing something, please. I wasn't.
You are a sole practitioner attorney with an office in Parkersburg, correct?
I am a sole practitioner attorney with an office in Parkersburg. Yes.
Why didn't you pay taxes on April 15th of 2023 to the city of Marietta?
Can you provide me a copy of your reference?
Can you answer the question?
Can you please restate the question?
Ma'am, if you don't want to answer this, that's fine, you can say no.
I'm asking you to please restate the question, Mr. Ashton.
Court reporter, can you please read back the question to the witness?
Can't hear him.
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
Yeah, the court reporter is about to read the question.
Question was, why didn't you pay taxes on April the 15th of 2023 to the city of Marietta?
Oh, that's a very simple answer. Mr. Ashcroft, I filed an extension.
So when did you pay, did you file quarterlies?
No, Mr. Ashcroft, I filed an extension.
What date was the extension filed?
I don't remember. Before the deadline.
Where was the extension filed?
Where was it filed?
Yeah, just for the record, I want to make sure we know where to get it.
Online.
Right, with who?
With the IRS and the state tax authority.
How about the city of Marietta?
The city of Marietta?
Yes.
I assume so. I don't remember.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right. All right, let's move.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Of your lawyer.
Okay.
So represent.
Ma'am, did you file your quarterlies with the city of Marietta for 2023? Yes or no? Ma'am, did you file your quarterly taxes with the city of Marietta in June of 2023?
Mr. Ashcroft, I have answered this question already. I filed an extension. I am the sole practitioner. I'm not going to give you a lesson on tax law, but I am essentially a pass-through entity. So no, I filed an extension, and my taxes are not yet due. You did not subpoena me to come here with tax returns, so I am not here present with tax returns.
Well, okay, hold on for a second. You brought us, last time we were here, a list of evidence to prove your residency and domicile that included 10 affidavits, a BMV change of address form, a registration renewal, a gas cable bill, health insurance, car insurance, electric bill, SEO building department plans from 2019, and a safety recall for your vehicle, but you didn't bring us the extension to show that you paid your taxes or should pay the taxes to the city of Marietta?
No, I did not bring my evidence that I filed an extension because it would be a one-page piece of paper that says I asked for an extension and it was granted.
How many pages is the electric bill? Half, they're all one page.
That's not a question, so can we get on with it?
Sure. From my review of your state licensure filings, you have filed in West Virginia, A&C Law, attorney at law, sole practitioner, with a mailing address of 1160 Bethel Road, Marietta, Ohio. Is that current and
Mr.
accurate?
Ashcroft, we're going to do this again. Please give me a copy of what
Ma'am,
you're
I don't have to
asking.
give you a copy of the record. If you know the answer, you can
You
answer.
are referencing an exhibit, you haven't provided me a copy, that's 101.
I didn't reference it. I asked you a question.
So. Okay. Please ask your question.
Well, you got the exhibit now. Sole proprietor filed in West Virginia, Secretary of State on June 2021, correct?
I see West Virginia Secretary of State Online Data Services, Business Organization Detail, A&C Office Attorney at Law, sole proprietor, effective date 6/8/2021.
And the second page has a mailing address on it that you're required to give to the Secretary of State, correct?
I see 3 addresses, mailing address, principal office address, and officer owner address.
None of those are 286 Front Street.
No, they are not. And I do see an effective date of 6/14/2021, which is several years before development period.
You have a duty to update that, correct? You have a professional and ethical duty to update that address, correct? Right.
So what I see is my principal office address of 816 Market Street, Parkersburg, West Virginia. That's correct. I have a mailing address of 1160 Bethel Road, Marietta, Ohio, which was my residence until probably January or February of this year. So I don't see any problem with any of the information listed as far as my duties to the West Virginia Secretary.
But none of those addresses are 286 Front Street.
No, they are.
So you also have an older filing, Nancy O'Brien, attorney at law. Let me cut to the chase on this one. Your parents live at 1105 Bethel Road.
Again, you're referencing a filing.
No, I'm not. Do your parents live at 1105 Bethel Road, Marietta, Ohio? Yes, sir.
My mother lives at 1105 Bethel Road, Marietta, Ohio.
And just so the record's clear, the evidence packet that you submitted at the beginning of the protest hearing, you've submitted it to this tribunal as proof, and you want them to accept it as proof, correct?
I see multiple questions there, and I'm not really sure what you're asking.
Is the evidence
Did I
that you
submit the evidence packet? Yes, you were here.
is it accurate?
I submitted the evidence packet.
Is it is the information contained in your packet accurate?
Yes, I would assume so.
Well, I don't want you to assume. If you don't know, say you don't know.
Mr. Ashcroft, I submitted the evidence packet.
Is it accurate? In other words, have you whited out any addresses? Have you changed any information?
I
Disagree
submitted,
with it.
I'm going to answer your question, or what I believe is your question. I submitted evidence that was within my control, related to my address, my domicile. Now, did I generate the documents myself? No, of course not. The electric bill was generated by AEP. The BMV records were generated by the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. So they generated the records. They
And
were
they haven't
within
been
my
changed.
control, and I submitted them.
And they
Can I
haven't been
testify?
changed.
Can I testify as to whether or not I produced those records and whether or not they are accurate?
Now, you can stall as much as you want. I just want to know if you've changed any of those documents.
You're asking me if I have altered documents.
That's what I'm asking you. It's that simple. I'm trying to make sure the evidence is in the record.
I have not altered any documents that I have submitted to this, as you call it, tribunal.
You own any property in the city of Marietta?
Personally, under my name? No.
This is the first time that you voted, this will be the first time that you voted from your address, 286 Front Street, is that correct?
What do you mean, is this the first one?
You voted in prior elections in the city of Marietta, correct?
I need you to be more specific as to what elections you're alleging I voted in or not.
Any.
Have I voted in any elections? I have voted in elections since 2009.
And every time you voted in an election, the address that you voted from was 1160 Bethel Road, Marietta, Ohio, correct?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, which one, where were you at when you,
Well, let's see, in 2009, I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
and returned here after law school, correct?
No,
Where did you go after law school?
Charleston, West Virginia,
Okay, and did you return here after Charleston?
eventually, but I voted in Charleston.
And you returned to Bethel Road when you returned from Charleston?
I returned to 1105 Bethel Road.
You have a legal practice in Marietta, Ohio.
I'm gonna need you to be more specific, I don't understand.
You have a legal practice in Marietta, Ohio. You have an office in Marietta, Ohio.
I practice law in the state of Ohio.
You have an office that says attorney at law, and that's where you practice in Marietta, Ohio.
No.
So if you don't have a lease, I assume you pay rent to Emmanuel's for 286 apartment 1?
No.
You don't, you commingle funds with the LLC.
No.
You don't commingle funds, but you don't pay rent?
No.
I'm gonna, at this point, because I know there's other evidence that I don't have yet, that I think the board's gonna have in terms of subpoenaed utility bills, I'm gonna pass this witness, but reserve my right to question on any issues that's been brought up on further questioning by this witness.
Could not hear the attorney's comment.
At this point, I will pass the witness with a reservation of rights to recross on any evidence presented during any further questioning as a result of subpoena practice or otherwise.
We can schedule it.
As long as we're gonna try to be efficient here, and so I'm gonna ask the board members, et cetera, if they have questions for you.
Sure.
And then I thought it would be easier for you to perhaps respond to everything, rather than if you wanted to, like, sort of redirect yourself with answers.
We can do
So
it.
forth.
We can-
I'll let him present his case in chief and then I'll
All
respond.
right, so, questions from the board?
So we still need some clarification on the toll taxes and the city and extension and all that. You filed an extension with the IRS. If you filed that before the deadline, that would have been for 2022 taxes. Because 23s are not due yet, right? Are quarterly taxes eligible for extensions? Those are, with the city of Marietta, I mean. Do you know that you filed an extension for quarterly taxes? That would have been in March and in June of this year.
You're asking me if quarterly taxes are subject to an extension with the city of Marietta? I do not know the answer to that.
Do you then know whether or not you filed quarterly taxes with the city of Marietta for the first 2 quarters of 2023?
I know neither if I am required nor if I did.
I'm a little confused. So you don't even know if you filed Marietta quarterly taxes, or you know that you didn't because you're not sure if you are required? I mean, I'm trying to figure
One,
this out.
I'm not sure if I'm required to. I have seen nothing that would suggest that I am. Two, I have other folks working for me. I don't believe that I filed quarterly taxes with the city of Marietta because again, I filed an extension for all my taxes.
Well, the extension was for 2022. We're talking about
Right.
2023.
Have
So,
I filed any taxes in 2023?
Correct,
As of
that's my
today,
question.
which is 2023?
yes, that's our question.
No, I have not.
So, no quarterly.
You need to make money to pay taxes.
First of all, I don't know if I'm required to file quarterly taxes. I've never had a problem in the past filing an extension. I file an extension every year.
Do you assist in the operation of TLV? Or did you assist in the operation of TLV?
Yes.
And did you assist in the preparation and filing of the employee taxes, whether it be with the IRS, the state of Ohio, or Marietta?
No.
You never did any of that?
I don't believe so.
Who took care of that?
I don't know.
You don't know.
She also
No,
got
it
the only
wasn't,
man.
it wasn't me, so I don't know.
So it wasn't you. So you have no idea who took care of the accounting for TLV?
You asked me who
For
filed
the
the employee
employees.
taxes?
Yeah, who figured out the payroll?
I don't know.
You don't know.
What do you do then for TLD or any of the businesses that are owned by your husband?
What did I do in TLV?
Yeah, how do you help?
I
Do
have
you
cooked,
assist?
I have bartended, I have cleaned, I have served.
No administrative type services, office work,
Well, you'd have to be more specific.
make it up, administrative services, paperwork, filings with anybody.
Permits.
I did not handle any permitting. I got the permits for the building to build the apartments with the Southeastern Ohio Building Department. I did that.
Hey, did you practice law in Ohio? Have you earned any money in 2023 in Ohio as a result of your legal practice?
In Ohio? No.
How many employees do you have for your legal practice?
Occasionally I enlist the assistance of folks for administrative or translating services. But it's not on a regular ongoing basis.
So those folks might be independent contractors for you, correct?
So you don't have employees, you just contract with people occasionally? Is that what you're saying?
I don't prepare W-2s in that sense.
Well, do you do W-9s?
No.
1099s?
Yes.
Did you generate any money as a result of your legal practice in West Virginia in 2023?
Yes, I have generated. Well, no. As you well know, we may bill and things might not come to us yet. So have I received any funds from my legal practice in 2023 in West Virginia? As of today, I have not received funds as of my legal practice in West Virginia.
From January to today, to date?
Correct. I have not received payouts from earned funds or funds expected.
Did TLV pay you?
Actually, no. Let me revise that. I may have received funds from my legal practice in West Virginia. as of today, within the past couple months. Actually, no, within the past, since mid-June of 2023, I may have actualized funds for my legal practice in West Virginia in 2023.
And did you receive any pay for your work at TLV from January to the present?
No.
Do you have any clients other than your husband's businesses or your husband?
Yes.
For a lottery practice?
General litigation.
I guess if I could ask to sort of distill it, a couple of things. You indicated that apparently you've received some income from your legal practice in West Virginia in the month of June of this year.
Potentially. I can't say for certain without reviewing my records, but I have received funds
Well,
in the past couple months. And by funds, I mean actualized funds, funds in which I can take from the IOLTA into my personal account.
you can take from the IOLTA, did you say?
Correct.
So you have an IOLTA account in Ohio, or just one in West Virginia?
I have 2 IOLTA accounts.
I guess I'm curious now that you don't really recall if you received any income in this year. How many clients do you have that you would consider active?
You'll have to give me a moment to count.
Well, I'm thinking it's 1 or 2 based on
It is not.
no income.
It is not.
How many approximately? As a practicing lawyer, what would you say, my client base is?
I would obviously prefer not to say, but well, are you asking about active matters?
Yes.
I would have to guess without looking at my
I'll
files.
take a guess at this point.
But it is more than 2.
More than 2 and less than 10?
It might be in that ballpark. Active files with active cases.
Right.
What residential address does the state Supreme Court have for you in each state, West Virginia and Ohio?
I don't know.
Well, have you changed your address in either the state of Ohio or the state of West Virginia as it relates to your legal license?
I don't know, because I'm not sure. I don't know.
You don't know if you did?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Do you know if it's required for you to update your resident address with the Secretary of State's office when you do change address? And the reason I ask that question, I know in my business, I'm required if I change my address to update my address to the Secretary of State.
I understand the question. For those purposes, my address hasn't changed. I mean, I presented a mailing address of my business.
Well, my question was your resident address. Are you required to update your resident address with the Secretary of State?
I don't know.
Would it be a fair statement that not knowing they haven't done it if it's required?
No, because I might have, I don't remember.
You don't recall?
No, I do not.
Okay. Do you have any responsibility for paying any of the what I'll call household bills, such as, utilities, that sort of thing? Or is that something that's done by your husband or someone else?
Most of my utility bills, I believe, are on auto pay.
Right. But does anyone manage to look at them to make sure you haven't, say, received an electric bill for $100,000 due to a computer error? Is that something you do, or is that something your husband would do?
My husband manages the utility file. He manages accounts of probably 50 plus.
Okay. Any other questions? I mean, I like to know, but this is what husband's doing. And come to this meeting, this is the major.
Right.
How long has the Bethel Road address been used for storage, as you testified last time?
By me personally?
By anyone?
I moved from the Bethel address in January or February of this year. So by me, I would have utilized it only as storage since then.
Anybody else using it to live in?
At times, yes.
Who would that be?
At times, folks had stayed there. Norman Pritchard, I believe.
Yep.
And that's, can you spell your name for the record, please?
Normanpritchard.
And his phone,
Darrell Pritchard, last name spelled the same, first name D-A-R-R-Y-L.
With the Pritchards, for example, how long have they stayed there and when was that?
I don't know, but I plan to ask them.
Anybody else living at 1160 Bethel Road since, let's just say since January of this year?
Not to my knowledge.
Anything else? We're good?
No, I do have one other question.
Oh.
You said that, Mr. Pritchett, both Mr. Pritchett's, stayed there. Did you give them permission to stay there?
I did not.
You did not. Do you know who did?
I would have to assume, but I did not.
So were you aware that they were staying here?
After a point, but not when they began staying there.
Okay, and at what point did you learn they were staying
I don't remember.
All right, we're done. Protester has further witnesses.
Full rest.
Thank you. And you wanted, we were gonna call some witnesses. I think you indicated, Mr. Glavis, that we were going to ask some people some questions. Obviously, you asked some witnesses.
Correct, but Grim has the burden of proof.
He's rested.
He's rested. Okay, and I just have a clarification.
Sure.
The board issued the subpoenas.
Yeah.
In this case. And we do not have a Miss Cinda Eisner present, do we?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to identify her.
Do we have any return on the subpoenas?
I'm not sure.
I provided.
I provided us the Here's the last. It's always the last. Well, it indicates they left with another at a residential service. So I can't say that she was physically served. That's it.
I can tell you she did receive it though, because she did contact my office and indicate that she was going to be out of the country.
What a coincidence. I think that's a crime, no? Last time I checked, the doctor was here. Right?
Dennis.
I mean, are we going to check her out?
Tell me why.
So I was going to begin with her, but she's not present.
No,
She's out of the
she's not.
country.
Allegedly, she's out of the country.
Yes.
Best laid plan.
So
Let's start with her.
I have a copy of her affidavit, which everyone has already received, but just for purposes. And
It's just a copy of what we have already.
so let's go over her affidavit, just so we're all clear. Again, she's not here. But we're going to start with, we've already read this into evidence, so I'm going to start with item 2. I am employed by the United Postal Service as a full-time delivery driver, and my assigned delivery route is centered upon downtown Marietta, Ohio. I have delivered this route for approximately 6 years. And my delivery route includes the location bearing the address of 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, 45750, as well as locations bearing the address of 286 Front Street, Apartment 1, 286 Front Street, Apartment 2. Item 3, at no time during the performance of my job have I seen or delivered packages addressed to Ann Lavis at 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, 45750. And then she goes on additionally for each apartment numbers she had listed, and she ends it with, from my experience, the packages addressed to 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, 45750 were related to the operation of a business located there. Now, Ms. Eisner's not here.
Who did she work for?
Yeah. me, and unfortunately, I can't make copies of this because it is a physical piece of evidence.
Look at that.
A box. This box comes from UPS Ground. It bears the tracking number 1Z7R4 for E20376694911. It says UPS Ground. It is addressed to Ann Lavis, 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio. On the front, it also has magic marker right here. It says SI, and again, the witness's initials were Cinda Eisner, and it bears the date of 8/8. She signed her affidavit on 8/10. On the side, we have an additional sticker. It says Ann Lavis, 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, and then it has the name of the delivery driver as Eisner. Now, if anybody wants to examine this, I'm not sure how you want to do it. But here she is. And
You can put it down.
I have the proof of delivery. And this is bearing the same tracking number, 1Z7R44 E20376694911. Service is UPS Ground, shipped on 8/4/2023, delivered on 8/9/2023 at 11:03 a.m. Received by, and the name there is Labus, Labus. In case anybody wants a copy of the box itself.
Is this the
Here it
same,
is.
this is
Yes,
that?
this is a photo of the box,
Oh, I see.
because obviously this is a bit cumbersome. Cinda Eisner works for the United Parcel Service, not the post office, not USPS, as her affidavit would have you believe. She has, less than 24 hours before she signed her affidavit, delivered a package addressed to me and Lavis at 286 Front Street in Marietta, Ohio. So that part is untrue. Either her memory is so poor that she can't remember what she did 24 hours prior, or she lied. Next, Ms. Eisner stated that from her experience, the packages addressed to 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, were related to the operation of a business located there. And I have my next exhibit. Throughout the relevant period, beginning in January, I have provided packages that were addressed to 286 Front Street, that were delivered to 286 Front Street, that, well, let's just go through them. First, January 2nd, 2023 at 8:12 a.m. The contents are an Up a Baby 2022 Mesa infant car seat base. Next, on February 15th, 2023, we have a manual breast pump, a baby car mirror, and some coffee pods. On April 19th, 2023, we have an extra large baby play mat, a baby carrier delivered on April 20th. Next, on May 13th, we have toys for babies 0 to 6 months, delivered May 14th. Montessori spinning drum baby toy for 6 to 12 months, delivered May 14th. Again, all to 286 Front Street. April 17th, 2023, we have a pair of Asics women's running shoes, size 7, delivered to 286 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio. Next, we have a fan brush nickel replacement motor. This is for the fans in my apartment, which are visible in the photos that I provided. Again, shipping address 286 Front Street. Then we have a replacement for the shower faucet the black 9-inch hand sprayer wall mount, which is the same one that is again in the photos of the apartment, shipped to 86 Front Street. Then we have, yes, May 9th, 2023. We are getting a bit personal here, but in the interest of full disclosure, my husband has allergies. This is an ear cleaning kit for his allergies. Shipped to 286 Front Street on March 30th. We have some Passover matzah, some manischewitz, etc. for the upcoming holiday. On February 3rd, 2023, we have a magazine display float frame in black that was delivered to 286 Front Street. Again, that is visible in the pictures that I provided because my husband framed where he was on the cover of the magazine, and it's on the wall underneath the, if you'll see in the photos, the newspaper clipping says Hitler killed. March 30th, 2023, we have a pack of yarmulkes or kippot, depending on if you speak Yiddish or Hebrew. And let's see, on January, okay, again, running shoes, clothing, etc. All of these are personal items which were shipped to 286 Front Street. Now, in my operation of a restaurant, I have never used a breast pump or a baby car seat. So these would indicate that these are personal items. And I would pose that this affidavit isn't worth the paper that it's printed on. Because, number one, Ms. Eisner is not employed by the United Postal Service, she is employed by the United Parcel Service. Second, she did, 24 hours before she signed her affidavit, deliver a package to me at 286 Front Street. And last, she claimed to know the contents of the packages she delivered and knew that they were only related to the restaurant. Clearly, that's not the case. Now, moving on from Ms. Eisner. I would like to ask Mr. Grimm some questions, please.
Going on.
Just a second, please. I have a lot of papers over here. Now, this is simply a copy of the petition, which I'm sure we all have, just for our records, so that we know what we're looking at while we ask questions. All right, Mr. Grimm. The paper in front of you looks like a true and accurate copy of the petition filed against me, correct? And you and I have never met before, have we?
No.
We've never had a personal conversation. And if you'll turn to your protest, here it says in the third paragraph in the body, Ann Lavis lists 286 Front Street as her residence in Marietta. However, upon information and belief, that location is utilized for a restaurant and store and is not her actual residence. That's what you wrote.
Yes.
Upon information and belief. That would suggest that you don't have personal knowledge of where I live, do you?
That's why it says what it's.
So you don't have personal knowledge?
What's that?
You don't have personal knowledge of where I live?
No, I know that building to be a restaurant. I know the address that you filed to be the address of that restaurant. That's why I stated it the way I stated it.
Okay. Now, how'd you find your witnesses?
With the help of my attorney.
Did you have your witnesses before or after you filed the petition?
everything was gathered after.
So you filed this petition without personal knowledge and without any witnesses?
No.
Correct?
Let's be clear of what transpired. Okay?
Sure.
I, as an elector of Marietta and a member of the community, okay, the topic of mayoral candidates comes up, okay? In discussions, many people have said, well, no, she doesn't even live there. It's a restaurant, it's a this, it's a that. And what I consider to be a public service, I challenged the address because I wanted to be sure that you were legally allowed to circulate the petition you did. And that's what this process is, okay? However it's found, whatever the findings are, we'll just move on from here, but this is part of the process. You do have an obligation to demonstrate that you live in the address that you live in.
Okay, so Mr. Grimm, I'll go back to my question.
Okay.
Which was, when you filed your challenge against me, you did not have personal knowledge of where I resided, did you?
Ask and answer for the record.
And when you filed your petition, you did not have any witnesses prepared to testify, did you?
No, I didn't have.
That's fine.
No, let me explain. Let me expand. Of course, I've done. This is ongoing discussions with people in the community. Of course, I have not built a case before I filed the petition. I filed the petition, then built the case.
Interesting order of events, but we'll accept it. So here we have a copy of your petition that you filed. And I can take this from you or you can keep it. I don't want it. So it is correct that you filed to be a candidate
I did.
for council at large,
Council work, yes.
for this election cycle.
Yes.
And the document I just handed you, does that look like the petition, one of the petitions that you filed before elections?
It looks like it, yeah.
Correct. And am I correct in stating that part of your issue with my petition was that you believed 286 to be a restaurant?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And you believed that there were no apartments upstairs? Is that correct?
I didn't know, but it wasn't indicated on your petition whether it was an apartment. It was indicated at 821. And in fact, I've heard two addresses. I've heard a one-half address and apartment one address and then a no address. So that's not clear.
I'll accept that. So let's look at your petition you have listed here. And as an independent, you are responsible for naming the committee. Because you don't have a built-in committee as a party candidate.
Exactly.
Correct?
Exactly.
Will you read the names and addresses of your committee members, please?
Of my committee members?
Yes, please.
Kevin Ritter and Mike Walsh. Those are the two people that helped pass the petition.
Sure.
Okay.
And would you read their addresses for me, please?
1494 Glendale Road, Marietta, Ohio.
Okay. And for Ms. Walsh?
170 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio.
Okay. Now, 170 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio, you know where that is, don't you?
I do.
And that is on the bottom floor, a restaurant, isn't it?
It is.
It is Over the Moon Pizza and Pub.
Yeah.
And you frequent Over the Moon to go to karaoke with Mr. Pascalich, correct?
A little more accurately trivia, but yeah.
Karaoke, sorry, excuse me. And Mr. Walsh has his address listed as 170 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio.
Yes.
He does not have an apartment number listed on the nominating petition and statement of candidacy. You did not list him an apartment number, did you?
No.
And he lives above Over the Moon.
Yes.
A copy of Mr. Walsh's voting record. And Mr. Grimm, can you confirm to me that the name listed at the top of this record is Michael Walsh?
Yes.
And it is 170 Front Street, Marietta, Ohio?
Yes.
And there is no apartment number listed?
That is correct.
Okay. So on your nominating petition, a member of your committee resides at an apartment above his restaurant
No, he doesn't reside in an apartment. His situation is a little different than yours. His doesn't have a separate mailing address. There wouldn't be other tenants. He just lives, think of it like his restaurant is in his basement, okay?
I'm
That-
perfectly capable of thinking of that because I understand that
I'm trying to
intimately.
explain. I'm not trying to be confrontational with you.
Sure.
You're asking me a question and I'm explaining why I didn't put in apartment one. It's situations, it's a tad different. You've got 4 residents above included in your building. And for mailing purposes, those would need to be indicated somehow. That's not the case here.
Mr. Grimm, are you an employee of the United States Postal Service?
I am not.
Okay. Can you point me to any law that would require
No.
to put an apartment number
No.
on an address? No. So a member of your own committee who you put on your petition
Yeah.
owns a restaurant,
He does.
he owns the building, correct? And he lives above the restaurant.
Mhm.
And he did not put an apartment number on his voter
I
registration.
don't know how to explain it differently. I don't consider it.
So
the
that's a
same.
no.
I don't consider it the same situation.
Yes and no.
So that's a no. He did not put an apartment number.
He doesn't
On his
have-
voter
he doesn't
registration.
have- He doesn't have an apartment to live.
Mr. Grimm, he did not put an apartment number.
Oh, he didn't.
He did not put a half.
He didn't.
Thank you very much. All right. How did you go about gathering your witnesses?
Again, with the help of my attorney.
And your witnesses for this instance were Miss Lisa Burkhart, correct?
You have the list, yeah. I mean, you want me to
Yes.
confirm, are you
Yeah.
just, if you're gonna read off, say, if
Go
you're
for
gonna read
it.
off the
Wait a
list, I will
minute,
confirm.
You have to wait till she asks you a question, so you can't talk at the same time.
Your witnesses included Miss Lisa Burkhart, correct? Okay. Your witnesses included a Mr. Schwendeman,
Yes,
correct? And your witnesses included a Miss Cinda Eisner,
yes,
correct?
yes.
Do you know any of these individuals personally? Are you sure?
I may know some in passing, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know who, or, you know. Yeah. It might be more accurate if I saw a face. This is a small town. I recognize people in this room.
Mr. Grimm, you operate a Facebook account, don't you?
I do.
Right. And on this page, that's your profile picture. That's your name. And on your list of friends, Jonathan Schwendeman is listed as one of your Facebook friends. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you do know Jonathan Schwendeman?
If you consider a Facebook friend as an acquaintance, then yeah. Okay.
I would.
I wouldn't know Mr. Schwendeman if I saw him at Moon's. I would not sit down at his table and have a conversation with him.
Okay. So you did not have a conversation with Mr. Schwendeman to come here and testify?
Again, I did not,
Great.
not personally. I did through my counsel.
Sure. But you are a personal friend of my opponent, Josh Schlicker, aren't you?
I am.
And this is your Facebook profile. And on the second page, you are friends with Josh Schlicker, correct?
I did acknowledge that.
You maintain personal friendship.
Yeah.
On the second page, you are friends with Mr. Ritter,
Yeah.
who's a member of your committee.
Yeah.
Kadeen, who's a member of this board.
Yeah.
And their son,
I understand.
correct? Do you have a personal relationship with one of the board?
I've known, I would say I know Ms. Ritter best. I have a personal relationship with the Ritters, as you can tell.
Sure.
Just played golf with Liam maybe a month ago. I know Mr. Wentz. I've had acquaintance with Mr. Wentz before. Ms. Bosnian, I know in passing, I know of her, I don't think we've ever actually spoke. And Mr. Stipe, I think maybe we've had a few conversations, but nothing that I would consider personal. Again, it's a small town.
Sure. And has Ms. Ritter represented your interests legally ever?
She has, yes.
Okay. So you were a client of Ms. Ritter?
I am a client.
Currently?
She's currently representing me in a collections matter.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, previously you couldn't appear at the hearing.
Correct.
Because you were ill.
Well, no, I originally, it was scheduled on a previously planned vacation. Okay, I got permission to come on Zoom, but at the particular time that the hearing was going on, I was physically in the emergency room.
You got sick?
Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, appear Zoom
Yeah.
in person. You weren't able to appear because you were sick.
I didn't want to be sat there in a hospital bed and Zoom now.
I understand. Okay, absolutely. But previously, your attorney stated that he had only been retained a few days prior to the hearing.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so, a few days prior to the hearing, he was able to contact and compel these witnesses to testify?
Exactly, yes.
Objection, hold on. Counsel, you're getting pretty close to the privilege, so.
Sure.
Wrap it up.
That's fine. I think I'm finished. That's true. Thank you.
Did you want to ask your client any question?
I don't have any questions.
Very good. Does the board have any questions?
One question, is there any other apartments above the restaurant other than the one that the gentleman lives in?
No.
So the difference is there's one place.
Yeah, it's just a living space that's above the same.
And he owns the entire building.
We're good? Right, you may return to your seat. Thank you. Your next witness, please.
Now, this isn't necessarily a physical witness. These are records from the Board of Election itself.
Well, we can take notice of that.
Thank you. All of these records are within a 1 to 2 block radius of where I live at 286 Front Street. And all of these records have one thing in common. They have an operating business on the ground floor and apartments above, where people list as their voting address. And none of them have an apartment number or a half or any other designation listed. At times, there are multiple individuals who reside in apartments above the business in which operates on Front Street, Green Street, and Second Street. Including Mr. Walsh, including when they used to live here, Imad al-Masri and his wife, when they operated the Buckley House, including the Cupchies, who operate the cook shop and live above it. It's not uncommon. And I would argue that it's accepted. Okay, so now, there are no more witnesses that Mr. Grimm has brought. So I'm going to address a witness who was here previously to testify, Ms. Lisa Burkhart. Now, this is for impeachment purposes for bias. Ms. Burkhart operates a Facebook page. I have a couple extra copies if the board would like some. Her most recent Facebook post is entitled thus: Lisa Burkhart, the Bible said it all. And she has something highlighted here. Foreigners who live in your land will gain more and more power while you gradually lose yours. They will have money to lend you, but you will have none to lend them. In the end, they will be your rulers. Underneath the post, there are comments. One from a Steve which says, quote, pay very close attention to elections in November, especially for mayor of Marietta. And that comment was liked by Ms. Burkhart herself, as well as a member of the county commission.
Counselor, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'm going to object to hearsay. Please go ahead.
We can open it right now on the computer.
Sure, we can actually all view it in live,
Can
in
we view
real
your-
time.
Can we view your tax extension live?
Oh my God, this isn't text.
So, this is a witness who was presented. I am impeaching for bias. It would appear that Ms. Burkhart subscribes to something called replacement theory. And unfortunately, she spoke directly about me. Under the comment, pay very close attention to elections in November, especially for mayor of Marietta. She commented, yes, we don't need the Democrats. It would appear that Ms. Burkhart subscribes to the idea of replacement theory, that there is a concerted effort to replace natural-born Americans with foreigners in order to dilute the electorate power. This is extremely concerning to me, obviously. But let's move on from Ms. Burkhart and her ideas.
I do have a question about this. Who highlighted and underlined this? Did you
That's
do
our
that?
post.
That is the post. Actually, let's all look at it.
No,
It's right here.
I'm just
We
asking.
can all put it on Zoom.
Did you do this?
No, I did not. I did not. This was her doing. This is exactly the post as it appears on her Facebook, live at this moment.
That's,
Let me see this.
So I'm gonna start calling my witnesses. Obviously, we've already had Dr. Wong here today. I guess I can just ask, because I have quite a pack here, if anybody would like to go first. I don't have any preference.
you had one hand, one up, you had one
Yeah.
down here.
Okay.
Who's in the rush?
So, come on, Chauncey. So Chauncey's a school bus driver, so we're gonna use Chauncey. Hi, Chauncey. Hi. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Chauncey Yost,
And can you spell it for the court reporter?
Shaupency, last name Yost, Yost.
And what do you do for a living, Chauncey?
I drive school bus for Warren Local.
And for a while, you helped us out in the restaurant.
Yeah, I did.
How long have you and I known each other?
Well, I've known your mom for several years, and you and I in passing for a long time, but closely for about a year. Yeah.
And you prepared an affidavit
Yeah.
for the board. And we met over at Robert's shop in Parkersburg. Sign the affidavit was in your own words?
Yeah.
So you have visited me above the restaurant 286 Front Street
Yeah.
with my son?
Maybe.
Yeah. And when you were working at the restaurant and you needed help, what did you do?
Oh, I would text you and you'd come downstairs and help us, like when we would get jam-packed, or if I needed somebody to make a drink or something, you would come down from upstairs and help. She was our rescue.
And usually I had,
Oh, yeah, you did have the baby and everything.
and everything that you said here today and in your affidavit is true to the best of your knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't promised you anything today for saying for your testimony.
No.
No, okay, thank you. Other questions?
Ma'am, I just have a few questions for you. First of all, can you confirm that your affidavit puts you upstairs, 286 Front Street? Is that what the affidavit says? Have you
No.
reviewed the document lately?
Puts me upstairs. I've been upstairs. Doesn't put me upstairs.
I have been upstairs, but you haven't been put upstairs. That's right there.
I've been upstairs. Yeah.
Is there an address?
Standard burger.
Right there.
Right, but is there an address for the upstairs apartment?
It's the upstairs of, yeah, the restaurant upstairs.
Okay. When in April of 2023, can you confirm for us that during that time period, you were helping at the restaurant?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
And this was notarized in Wood County,
Mhm.
in Parkersburg,
Mhm.
not at the restaurant.
Correct.
Notarized by Ari Gold,
Mhm.
and is that a yes?
Mhm.
And You signed it in front of him,
Yes.
present he witnessed it, correct? On the August the 10th of 2023. Not at the restaurant. Thank you.
Are you finished?
You signed that affidavit in Norrisburg,
No.
correct?
You have any questions?
You did not sign that affidavit in Marietta.
No, I didn't.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it?
Yes,
Board have
ma'am.
anything from us yet?
No.
I did have one question. When did you, stop working at TLB?
Just recently, when school started, I went back to drive a bus.
So you worked there through the summer?
Yep.
And when did you start working there?
Well, I started helping out when Annie was pregnant and just in passing, so in December-ish, when she was towards the end of her pregnancy. And then when she went into labor, I did more work, and then I just ended up being there a lot.
And how many days a week did you work?
Mostly the weekends, but some during the week. It just kind of depends. Every weekend, during the summer, and then some throughout the week when they needed help.
Did you help her move in?
No, I didn't help move in. No heavy lifting for me.
I'm sorry, I
Take
didn't
that
hear your
back.
answer.
I didn't help move in. I don't do any heavy lifting. I've had backwards in the Army.
Sometimes the comments from the gallery.
I can understand that, yes.
Sorry.
Anything else? No?
Done here.
Good. Thank you. Have a
Thank
seat,
you.
or you're free to leave, whichever
Yes,
you want
sir.
to do. Next.
All right, does anybody want to go next? Robert, will you please state your name for the record?
Robert Harris, ROBERT.
Make sure you keep your voice up.
Have you signed an affidavit on my behalf in this case? How long have you and I known each other?
First grade?
First grade?
Yeah.
Sounds all right. You operate a tattoo shop.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's that at?
814 Market Street in Parkersburg.
And how long you been a tattoo artist?
Parkersburg, like 16 years.
And you rent your space on Market Street from Emmanuel's LLC?
Yes.
And you and I are personal friends?
Yes.
You've visited me and my family?
Yeah.
At home?
Yeah.
And where did you visit me and my family at home?
Above TLB.
Did you ever visit me and my family anywhere else?
Not really, no. No, you come see me.
We socialized in Parkersburg.
Yeah.
And when you filled out your affidavit, you were at your shop?
Yeah.
And Ari was there?
Yes.
And he was the one who notarized your signature?
Yeah.
Now, you are an artist also.
Oh,
You did murals and artwork inside 286 Front Street, correct?
oh yeah.
Did you do a piece of art on upstairs, 286 Front Street?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you do? It is beautiful. Did you do a piece of artwork specifically for me and my husband?
Yeah.
Can you describe it for us, please?
It was the King and Queen parts. Maybe a little hand or like that.
Okay. And you did that, it was your understanding that you were making that mural for us,
Yeah.
correct?
Right.
And when you visited me above 286 Front Street, was it in the same apartment where your mural is?
Yeah.
Have I promised you anything for your testimony today? Is your testimony true and accurate to your knowledge?
Yeah.
Pass the witness.
No question.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You said you've known her since first grade, and you visited her at 286 Front Street, but you've never visited her anyplace else. So over those years, you never went to where she lived previously?
Well, in grade school, didn't have a lot of friends, to be honest, but I knew who Annie was. It's also why I call it Annie, and everybody else calls it Annie. I've known her since we were young, and I moved away 5th grade to Athens, moved back to Warren, was freshman year, and then moved and went to Marietta.
I wasn't worried so much about when you was younger. I'm talking about since she's been back and she lived at 1160 or whatever, Bethel Road.
What's the question?
Well, you said you've had any business with her while she's at 286 Front Street, but yet you never visited her in any of that time at Bethel Road. I was surprised that you never visited, you've been at her home at 286, but you've never been at 1160.
Yeah.
About at her mother's house on Bethel Road.
No. Above TLB is just always convenient, because always around there. Like, I hang out there. I did a lot of work there. Put a big old mural on the side. I'm just there a lot.
So were you at TLB prior to January of this year? And did you go upstairs prior to January of this year?
Yeah.
And who was living upstairs then?
And what
And what about a year ago? Were you at TLB then?
Yeah. I went upstairs pretty much only just to like do my murals and stuff.
And when did you start working on the mural?
It varies, different ones. Like
I can't hear you.
I said, it varies. Different murals at different times. Like the one on the outside, I would bounce back and forth between that one and doing smaller ones and go here and there.
Okay, well, what about the murals upstairs?
Specifically, I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
When did you do the murals on the outside? Do you remember that?
Over the course, 6 to 8 months at least. Like a year? Yeah. Hey, a long while. Did you guys like it?
I had a question. In your affidavit, you did say that you did, I think it was the King and Queen of Hearts. You did that in 2022, that's what your affidavit said.
Yeah.
You recall when you started in 2022?
That one was kind of like a 1 or 2 day job. It wasn't a big, long, prolonged.
Okay, so that 1 and 2 days, when did that occur? You remember a month?
August
of 2022? Was it warm? Was it cold? Rain?
Well, the thing they windows,
snow?
that apartment was always hot. But
Well, were the leaves green or were there no leaves?
May lady doesn't remember the day before. Or a year before. It's nice.
But now I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay. So you just know it's in the year 2022?
Yeah.
And was, as you call her, Annie, was she living there at that time?
She wasn't there at that time. She was living there. Like, well, she was living in.
And then did she have a baby? You remember a baby at all?
At that time.
So there was no baby when she moved in?
Well, I mean, I was about to be painting, so she wasn't.
I'm sorry?
I was about to be painting, so she wasn't really there. Like,
She wasn't there?
yeah, I got.
So where was she?
I don't know.
No. Was she living elsewhere?
I don't think.
So you don't know?
Yeah, not a lot of.
The
Kind of
upshot of
weird
your
question to ask somebody.
testimony is you don't know. All right, thank you.
No.
No further questions.
Robert, you testified that I wasn't in the apartment with an infant when you were spray painting it, was I?
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, in the year 2022. Thank you. No further. I don't have anything further, anyone? Thanks. You can have a seat or you're free to go, because I don't know you raise your hand.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm good. I'll stay around.
All right, who wants to go next? You wanna go?
But yeah. Really.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Allison Arocha,
And can you spell it for the court reporter, please?
ALISONAROCHO.
And you filled out an affidavit for me in this case, did you not?
Yes.
And where were we when we filled it out?
Parkersburg.
We were at Robert's shop.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that affidavit was true, to the best of your knowledge? Your own words?
Yes.
Now, you purchased items for me for the baby,
Yes.
and those included high chair, diaper pail, some clothes and toys, et cetera.
Yes.
You bought me a lot of stuff.
Yes. Or him.
And you visited me at home with the
Yes.
baby.
Yes.
And where did you visit me?
Above the restaurant. At your house.
Yep. And what did you see up there? Did you see any of the stuff you bought me?
All of it.
And I was there, and the baby was there.
Yeah. Sometimes Art was there, my husband was there. We were all there.
Okay. Thanks, Ally.
That's it?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to ask you if you were named as a committee in Mrs. Labe's nominating petition.
I was.
No further questions.
Council?
Did you ever visit Ms. Lovis at her Bethel Road?
I could not. I couldn't even point out the house to you.
So when was the first time you visited her apartment above the restaurant?
Around the same time that the baby was born. It was the first time I actually spent time with her.
So prior to that, you were not close friends?
Yes and no. I think that my husband was closer to both of them than I was for a little while. And then we just started getting close and close with baby stuff.
How did you meet?
How did we meet? Well, we met him first when the restaurant was Emmanuel's we moved here in 2017. Loved the restaurant, continued to go. COVID shut them down, opened up new, and there we were again. And then there we were friends. It kind of just grew from there.
So prior to the baby's birth, you did not visit?
Yeah, we visited. We would visit at the restaurant. We went on some trips together. They came to our house quite a bit.
When did that start?
When did
you go on trips together?
Was the one we went to New York back in, I'm awful with dates. Maybe it was one, it was cold.
Was it 23 or 22?
22.
22?
Yes.
But you've never been to the Bethel Road?
No, I have not.
Anyone else?
You may sit down. Again, you're free to stay or leave.
Mike? You need to, you missed the raise your right hand part.
Oh, got it.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I like it.
Morning,
Will you state your name for the record, please?
Mike Burdick, Burdick.
And you filled out an affidavit for me in this case?
I did.
And you filled out that affidavit at Robert's shop in Parkersburg in front of my husband, he's the one who notarized? Affidavit in your own words,
Yes,
true to the best of your knowledge?
correct.
Where do you live?
286 Front Street, apartment A.
So when did you move to Marietta?
January the 18th of 2023.
Where's your permanent address?
506 Marlin Ave, Providence, Kentucky, 42450.
And you came here for work, correct?
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I am an integral member, or
part of the $146 million upgrade for Orion Engineered Carbons in Belgrade, Ohio. I'm the instrumentation and electrical technician on site currently to date.
How many hours a week do you work?
It varies between 60 and 84. I can tell you that I clocked in since January the 18th until to date, it was 1,806.5 hours on site to get this done.
Now, Mr. Burdick, where do I live in relation to you?
Across the hallway from it, literally there's a stairwell that separates her apartment from mine in one door.
And is there an apartment number on my door?
There isn't. I assumed that it was D because mine's A. And then I didn't go downstairs and start hitting the buttons until somebody answered, but there are 4 buttons, there are 4 apartments. I lived in the one that's directly across the hallway from hers.
Does your apartment have a number or letter on it?
It doesn't, no.
So you use a
code to get in. Whenever I DoorDash that, they hit the right button.
Mr. Burdick, how often do you see me at all?
4, maybe 5 times a week, given the hours.
And that's been since you moved in?
Yeah, since January the 18th.
And you see my baby there?
Oh, of course.
Does he cry?
Oh, absolutely, all the time. All the time, exactly, yes.
Does he ever wake you up?
Yes, no, not me personally, but my dogs are like, we can hear a baby crying, bro. What are we gonna do?
At what hours of the day?
You mean morning, like 1? 10 p.m.
I'm sorry.
Like, there's a block window there where he's sleeping and he's up, and then he's sleeping and he's up.
Now, we share a washer and dryer, don't we?
We do, yeah, the 4 of us that reside in that same building, we share a washer dryers community.
And you have found
Clothes that I needed folded so I can transport from the washer to the dryer. Yeah, manual's clothes, like a lot.
You folded Emmanuel's clothes before, haven't you?
Oh, I actually have a few times. I've actually sent Ari a message like, yo, is this your clothes in the dryer?
Middle of the night.
He's like, oh, shoot, I forgot.
Thank you, Mike. And I'm not promising you anything in exchange for your testimony today.
No, I already have due my fate in January the 18th. I still know.
Thank you, Mike. I have nothing further.
Just one, sir, I'll start.
Yeah.
So if you have DoorDash delivered, did you say that they press a button that links to your specific apartment?
That is correct, yes, sir.
No further questions.
How did you come up with A on your apartment?
The button, I assumed that was A, and they show up and they press the button and then link up to mine.
So if buttons have A, B, C, D?
They do not, no. No, they're 1, 2, 3, and 4, but there's no numbers on them.
They're not letters either?
No.
So how did you come up with A?
Trial and error.
Should talk later.
When you say that your permanent address is Kentucky, how many days a week are you in Marietta?
Every day since January the 18th.
Oh, okay, so you don't go home?
No, I mean, the requirements for me to be on job site were too extreme for me to take any kind of time off. I did take 3 days on July the 1st, and I went up to Erie, visit my kids. So minus 3 days over the last 8 months, I guess, to date. I've been in Marietta every day.
What time do you start work?
6:30 was the original contract from January the 18th until July the 9th. And then my contract switched hands to a company called ESI, and their requirements were me to be on site from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. And then it transported again from ESI to Orion Engineered Carbons 2 weeks past the 9th. And the time remained the same unless they called me and said, hey, we need you earlier.
Is that 7 days a week or 6 days a week?
It was 7 days a week from the gate until July 9th, and then they required me 55 hours as per contract Monday through Friday, which was 8 till 6, minus the time that I get to transport myself there. And then the weekends was on call, which I didn't have a single day off from July the 23rd until August the 14th.
Anything else from the board?
just to clarify, I'm sorry, do you live at what would be physically 286.5? Or are you are you directly?
Well, I'm directly above the restaurant, so I mean, I don't think there's a 286.5, and the resident's still the same. There's just 4 units up top of the TLB restaurant.
If you're looking at the restaurant, now there are windows on the left.
There is correct, I'm right above, I'm directly above. I am on the end unit, right above the restaurant.
So if you're looking at it from the front, you're on the sort of the right half of the building in the back, but
No, left.
the left side.
Yep, directly above the sign for TLB, physically right above that.
Yeah, thanks.
Anything else?
Sir?
Yes.
Utilities included?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right. You can stand down. Again, you're free to leave or stay. Your call.
Is that fine? Somebody want to go next? I see me.
I'll do it. Yeah, do it.
All right. Come on, I wanted to do this. Will you please state your name for the record?
Emmanuel Arocho, EMMANUEL AROCHO. I spell Emmanuel correct.
Manny, you filled out an affidavit for me, correct?
Correct.
And that affidavit was signed at Robert's shop?
The tattoo place, yes.
Yeah. And you signed it in front of Art?
Yes.
All right. That affidavit was your own words?
Yes.
True to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
You bought some stuff
Yes.
for the baby and I with your wife?
Yes.
And you visited me at 286 Front Street?
Yes.
What'd you see up there?
Your stuff. The baby stuff mostly.
The stuff that you purchased for the baby?
Absolutely, yeah.
And you and I are personal friends?
Absolutely.
And you've known my husband actually for a long time?
Very long.
Okay. But your relationship goes back with my husband overseas?
Yes.
Okay. You served in the United States Army?
Yes.
You were deployed?
Yes.
So, have you ever visited me anywhere else?
You know, I have seen, the other place because I've been to your mom's. When we would go get like ATVs or anything that was stored, out there. So I know like where they're talking about, but no, we've never hung out like, on a social level other than collect things.
And you give Norman Pritchard a ride sometimes to work?
Mm-hmm.
He worked TLB?
Yes.
What locations have you picked up Norman to take him to work?
Numerous places. Yeah, I mean, to include the same address in Bethel that is near your mom's, to include if he's at his grandma's or something. I've picked him up numerous places.
And he stayed at other properties related
Yes,
to
in
me and my husband?
Parkersburg, yeah, there was the land, I picked him up there too.
Okay. Walk through your affidavit. I think that's all I have.
Okay.
No question. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Rocho, you stated that you give Norman Pritchard rides. Is that every day? Are you his primary transportation?
Well, he's got transportation now, but there was a long period of time where he didn't have a working vehicle. He's a really nice guy. He just had, some stuff that he needed to work through. He didn't have reliable transportation. At times I would help him out. I mean, I've given him rides to the store before too.
I mean, how often?
Well, I mean, it's been a little, like I said, he has a new vehicle, so it's been a while, but I would say at its peak, 3 to 5 times in a week or 2 week period.
Okay, do you remember when this was?
Yeah, so like all of last year.
Oh, 2022?
Yeah, I mean, the current, for quite a while.
And when did he get the car, if you know?
When
did you stop for?
I would say late spring, maybe early summer. It's a guess. Don't hold me to it.
So, you said 3 to 4 times a week?
To 2 weeks, maybe be more frequent certain times, more infrequent other times.
And how many times would you pick him up on the Bethel Road address?
That was towards the end of it being less of a necessity because but I feel like he's had two, well, one was a reliable vehicle, for a time until it wasn't, and then he got a much more reliable vehicle. But that kind of dwindled off spring, summer, it started decreasing the need.
So where would you generally pick him up in 2022?
22?
Right.
What part of 22?
Well, let's say the last 3 months of 2022.
Last 3 months, so like ending in December, I just want to be clear. Pre-Christmas, I feel like I was getting them a lot out towards Parkersburg on the land that they own. So we're talking like, did I got the calendar here right? Yeah, we're not talking about, yeah, we're good. Yeah.
So he owns property in Parkersburg or in Wood County?
Already does.
Oh.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like he's resided at multiple properties of his.
I see, of Mr. Gold.
Yes, he's an employee of Mr. Yeah.
So what about at his grandma's?
Like where is it located?
Yeah.
I mean, those would be like one-offs if he was like staying a weekend. That's located like, well, help me because I'm an Athens County boy, but like, that way, Waterford and like, I don't know. I know the roads when I put it in GPS, I can probably look.
Somewhere in Washington County, his grandmother's somewhere.
Yeah, I believe so. It's still Washington County. Is it still Washington? Yeah.
When was the first time you picked him up at the Bethel Road?
Right around that same, when it tailored off from, like around Christmas time, we'll say. I mean, because that's what I got in my mind. It was, it was cold and, that was when I started.
You indicated that you're a friend of both Mr. Gold and Mrs. Labas. Before they lived upstairs on Front Street, I guess it's the 286. Where did they live?
To my understanding, it was Bethel. But again, because of where we're at, and I'm sure you can understand, like with a low-staffed restaurant, and it's a mom and pop shop, their hours were very rigorous. So like usually our hangouts, even pre-moving, upstairs, would be at our house on Fifth Street. It's not far from where they were, but they would, even catch a break, especially when she was later term pregnancy and, just needed her legs. If there was work being done upstairs, she didn't want to drive all the way out to the morning.
Right. And did you help at all with their move?
Yeah.
Okay. And your recollection is, when did they move?
Well, it was a process. It wasn't a one day like you might think. Like I remember for sure around the time we got back from New York, that's when I started helping. An item here, item there. But
When was New York return?
So that was end of November, as we'll call it. So it was just before, it was just before, right.
Before the birth.
Exactly.
Yes. And Mr. Gold, he moved. Did he move earlier than Mrs. Lama? Like a year or so?
What do you mean?
To Front Street?
Yeah, I believe he was already getting his footprint in. That's what I was saying about helping move bed and, things like that. But there was times where I know that Robert was in doing, and I can help him out with what the weather was like. It was, cold. But nothing really added to that.
Oh, okay. Any further questions? Thank you. Thank you. You're free to stay or go.
All right, well, I think I'll watch. I get some popcorn. All right, thank you.
Who's still left? Come on out, guys.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello.
Well, again,
previous state and of course with your last name, spell it for the record, please. Slowly.
Yes, it's Kevin Paskowich, KEVIN PASKAWYCH.
And you provided an affidavit for me in this case,
Yes, I did.
and those were your own words,
Yes,
true to the best of your knowledge?
yes.
Where did we sign it at?
Signed in Partners Court, I believe it was at the tattoo shop.
Already notarized your signature?
Yes.
How long have you and I known each other?
Well, I remember meeting a little Annie O'Brien when I was doing volunteer work in college. I believe it was at the Mid-Ohio Valley Players. As far as an adult professional relationship, I met you at Marietta College when you auditioned for, I think it was Tartuffe in 2016, 2017, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So,
you and I worked together in Tartuffe production?
yes, I was the assistant tech director and the shop supervisor for that production.
Right. So, and I was the lead in that place, so we had some conversations.
Yes, all of the cast calls for work calls, things of that nature, so.
And you and I socialized together also outside of the theater at that time?
Yes.
But we didn't really have much of a relationship.
No, it was passing, I mean, it's, the nature of theater is kind of you hang out with the cast you've got right now, and then everybody goes, the show's over, and everyone goes back to their own thing, and then you come back together for the next show, and
Right.
it's a new group.
So we did also after Tartuffe, summer theater. Did you work at all in Guys and Dolls or Shakespeare?
Yes, I worked for Shakespeare by the River, well, now it's the Pioneer Summer Theater at Marietta College. I was very, very busy that year, so.
So that leads me to, so what do you do for work if we have enough time to discuss all of it?
We've got until 5, right? No, so I do freelance work in the entertainment industry. I also run a company with my wife. We do things like dinner theater, live productions, commercial productions. We've done some music videos for different clients. We do pub trivia at Over the Moon. And then I also do contract work. I was an adjunct at Marietta College for a time and still do contract work for them as needed at their theater department.
And you visited me
Yes,
and the baby.
yes.
Where were we?
You were upstairs above TLB.
And what did you see when you were up there?
The first thing I noticed when I walked in was a really big stack of dirty diapers.
Thank you for that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
No, I mean, the apartment is lived in, there were, there's furniture, there's baby stuff, there's TVs. I think you had done the dishes on a day or two, no offense.
That's okay. And you haven't visited me at home anywhere else?
No.
And when did we start becoming friends again? After the Leaf Theater aside, when did we start becoming personal friends again?
I would say it was probably about April, May of last year, 2022. I started getting involved wanting to help organize some events like the Pride event in Marietta and the teachers events. And obviously that was with Ari, that was with Manny, and that was with you, among others.
And when we met about these events, where would we meet?
You would meet at TLB?
And would the restaurant be open?
No.
So we'd be socializing, planning stuff downstairs at 286?
Yes.
Don't think I have anything else for you, Kevin. Thank you.
Is there a place to sleep downstairs at 286? Do you have to go upstairs?
I can sleep anywhere, so I could probably find a place to sleep, but I didn't see a bed.
Okay, fair enough, no questions, no further questions.
Have you ever been to the residence where they lived at 1160 Bethel?
No.
And when did you start visiting them upstairs, as you say?
The first time I went up was earlier this year. It was warm, so I'm gonna say probably earlier part of summer. but I did frequent the restaurant and I would see Annie come down with the baby or Ari come down. We'd walk in and be like, hey, where's so-and-so? Ari would come down, Annie would come down and go up. So it was quite obvious, I would say, that they were upstairs and that it was a space that they were living in.
And that was in 2023.
Yes, yes,
But in 2022, it was all just in the restaurant,
yes,
never at Bethel Road.
no.
Anything else? All right, have a seat, or again, feel free to leave.
I'm gonna go get some nicotine and then I'll be back.
Who's left? Norman, all right. All right, Norman, state your name for the record, please.
I'm Norman Pritchard, NORMANPRITCHARD.
And you filled out an affidavit for me in this case?
Yep.
And we filled that out in front of Ari?
Yep.
We were at, Robert Shop in Parkersburg?
Yep.
Your own words in the affidavit?
Yep.
True to the best of your knowledge?
Yep.
All right, how long have you and I known each other, Norman?
3.5 years, roughly.
And you worked at TOV?
Yep.
In the kitchen?
Yep.
Did you do any other work for us? You done construction?
Whatever you guys needed, wherever I could. Yep.
And you have stayed on properties that are.
Yeah, we got an agreement. At the time, whenever I first started working with y'all, I was, as I like to refer to it, residentially challenged. He owned several properties and he helped me out with places to stay and some of the, like, moving you in and stuff, like, I would charge for stuff like that. We slowly went from a professional relationship to now what I would refer to as a friendship.
Yeah, you'd say we're personal friends.
Yeah.
But we didn't start that way.
Yeah.
Now, you've stayed at properties that Ari owns, and you stayed out of Parkersburg for a while?
Yep, until about February.
Okay. And you moved from Parkersburg, why?
They were doing construction and stuff in the location I was staying.
Okay. And where did you end up staying after that?
I bounced back and forth between house on Bethel and friends' houses until here recently when my grandma finally let me stay with her.
Okay. And was your dad with you?
Yeah.
Okay. And so your testimony is you stayed out of Bethel?
Yep. I'm gonna say like 2 to 3 nights a week.
Yeah. And you have permission to be there?
Yeah. I didn't stay there all the time because like there's a water line flowing downstairs.
Okay, so there's some water damage in that property?
Yeah, water damage and there's not a run and shower or anything, so I'd still have to go to other people's houses, but to be able to lay down versus sleeping in your car, it's pretty different.
Yeah. Where'd you lay down in Bethel?
I laid on the couch, in the main living space.
Okay. And what's in there?
Just all y'all's stuff. I don't know, stuff for everything from construction to personal items, I assume. This looks like a mess to me.
And because of the water damage and all that, is it your opinion that Bethel is habitable?
Maybe not for other people now.
Thanks. And what do you have one set vehicle that you drive, Norman?
Oh, no, I tend to buy junk and had a broken down vehicle about half the time I'm looking for y'all. Ari's been kind enough to let me use several of his vehicles from time to time, and Manny, as he said, would pick me up on more than one occasion, yeah.
Yeah.
They've been super helpful.
Yeah. So Manny picks you up sometimes?
Yep.
And Manny's picks you up out of Bethel?
Oh, yeah.
All right. And you said you've driven cars of Ari's?
Yep.
Like a white van?
White van, yellow truck, blue truck, red truck, brown truck.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Thank you, Norman. I don't have anything else for you.
All right.
Well, they might ask you.
Oh, yeah,
No questions, Norman. Thank you.
Board. I just want to know, when did you move into the Bethel Road?
Around February, I want to say.
Okay, when did you move out?
Last month, roughly.
Did I hear you say that there's no water there?
There's water, but not to the shower.
Is there only one shower in the place?
As far as I know, I didn't like pay rent, so I didn't have access to everything, you know? I just,
What do you mean you didn't have access?
I had access to the main floor of the house.
The main floor?
Yeah,
You didn't go upstairs?
There is no upstairs.
there is no upstairs.
There is no upstairs?
I've been to their apartment though, if that's what you mean. I hope you-
No, I'm asking about that though.
Okay.
How many bedrooms are there at Bethel?
I don't know. I've always thought that was a weird question, like, or how they set that up, because if you want to put a bed in your kitchen, how do you tell somebody how many bedrooms there are?
How many full bathrooms are there?
One as far as I know.
Did you just stay in one room?
It's an open concept whenever you first walk in, and I mainly just stayed in one room, yeah. I mean, I didn't really need much. It was better than staying in my car.
You said you helped move them in. When was that?
It was around February, January-ish, right after the baby was born. She said she couldn't keep up with everything with the baby and the restaurant and having to travel back and forth and all that. And that's roughly probably around the time the water line broke, I assume.
So you helped lug the furniture, so to speak?
Yeah.
Okay. Where'd you get the furniture at?
Bethel.
Bethel? Okay. And you did that, you said in February? Or
Yeah,
January?
roughly, yeah.
It was snowy. and
It was
cold.
definitely after Christmas.
I don't know about snow in Marietta, but it was
Yeah,
cold.
it was cold.
And coincidentally, perhaps, then you said you stayed in Parkersburg?
Yeah.
Until February? That's when you moved out of there because of what was going on there. And then you moved to Bethel and you spent 2 to 3 nights there.
Yep.
Where would you stay with friends or?
Friends, family, other than that, yep. Sometimes
So
I
I
take
think
my car at Walmart, yeah.
So it's fair to say that both Mr. Gold and Mrs. Labus were living in Bethel before they moved to Front Street, and you moved into Bethel.
I can't say where exactly for sure they were living, but they had stuff there that would move from there to there. I mean, they try to keep their private life, you know, private.
I'm only interested in
I am.
trying to tinker staffers to
Yeah.
change that. If you understand that.
Yeah, I do.
You never lived at Bethel Road while they were also living there?
Yeah.
Did anybody else stay with you at Bethel?
Just my dad.
And when might that have been?
Whenever I would stay, like 2 or 3 nights a week, probably.
I'm sorry, the 2 to 3 nights a week when you stayed at Bethel, that was the February to about July period?
Roughly, yeah, at least.
And where did you stay the other nights?
Friends' houses, Walmart parking lot, there's not a lot of places you can stay. There's a campground in Kinderhook in Newport and a campground at Luke Chute in Waterford that I would also stay at from time to time.
Anything else from board?
Well, where are you staying now?
2109 McNeil Road, Waterford, Ohio, with my grandmother.
Oh, okay. And I think you said, you said she allowed you to be there now,
Yeah,
starting,
that's been my mailing address
okay.
for as long as I can remember, but now I actually reside there.
And when did you move in there full time?
At the beginning of this month, like August.
good. Thank you very much. Again, you're free to stay or go, as you so desire.
Follow suit and do it next year.
Fairly popular.
I don't mean to interrupt, but how many more witnesses do you have?
I believe this is the last witness, so
I need a
10,
break.
yeah.
We can take this last witness so she can just keep going, but I'll need a break after that.
Yes, no problem.
Okay.
So yeah, 10 were subpoenaed, so.
I was looking, so I.
Okay, thank you.
Daryl Pritchard. I spelled it all before.
And Mr. Pritchard, you're Norman's father,
Correct.
and you and I have met a couple times.
Yes.
You know who I am.
I do.
You know who my husband is.
Yes.
And you've stayed at properties owned by my husband.
Yes.
What, he gave you permission to stay there with Norman?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Pritchard, just so we're all aware, you have served United States Marine Corps.
Yes.
Okay. And that was in?
1980 to 84.
Okay. And did you suffer, so you have some brain injuries, don't you?
Yes. I have early onset Alzheimer's also.
Okay. And you have a tumor?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes it's hard for you to express yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you stayed with Norman?
Yes.
In Parkersburg?
Yes.
And then you guys had to leave Parkersburg?
Yes.
Because they were doing work on them?
Right.
Where'd you go?
Eventually we went, like after 2 or 3 weeks, we went to Bethel.
Okay.
We stayed in our vehicle for most of the time.
Okay. And is your testimony consistent with your silence?
Yes. We only stayed there 2 or 3 nights because we didn't, or myself, I didn't want to be a burden or Norman was used to that.
Yeah.
I've seen the, being honest. And,
You do not work, correct?
I do now.
You do now?
A month ago, I was employed at Orange IGA in Marietta.
Awesome.
I have future contractors, my hands.
But your son works?
Yes.
And he comes home pretty late at night, doesn't he?
Yes.
He leaves pretty early in the morning. He works hard, doesn't he? We don't, Mr. Pritchard. I have nothing for Mr. Pritchard.
Sir, I just have one question to clarify. How long did you say you had stayed at the Bethel address?
The time?
Yes, sir.
Since probably January, off and on. Like I said, we'd stay there 2 or 3 nights.
Oh, I understand. Off and on, with the longest length being 2 or 3 nights.
In a week?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. No further questions.
We stayed there. Sometimes it was 6 hours.
No further questions.
How did you mean that you didn't want to cause a burden to them because you only stayed 3 nights a week? You didn't want to cause a burden to them. How on that? How was you causing a burden for them?
I don't know them very well or anything, and I stayed in a tent, so I didn't have to go to my mother-in-law's. Because I tried to be self-sufficient. When we was in Parksville, we didn't have running water or electric. We had a generator.
But you didn't answer my question. Well, how was it going to be a burden if you stayed in the house? If they weren't there, if they weren't living in the house and you were there, how was that a burden?
It wasn't my house. I didn't pay the utilities.
But they'd given you permission to stay there.
As far as I know, through Norman, I've only spoken to Ari probably 3 times. I'm what do you call it? Introvert or whatever. I don't like people. Didn't want to come here.
Anything else? All right. You have a seat or you're free to go. We're gonna take a break at this time. We'll see where we're at.
No executive session right now?
Is this executive session or just a break?
No, just a break.
Just a break.
Break for the court reporter and for people that get up and walk around a bit.
So want to commence at 11:10
Yeah,
minutes?
10 minutes out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey Dennis, whenever you declare your executive order, just tell me exactly what you want to see your file.
We got just water.
No, after that.
Water, you don't know yet.
I'm just letting you know. There's only one you can follow, so I just want to hear you. If you don't mind. Thank you.
I don't
Okay, does any of you like water?
Yes, we're already.
Okay. I'll get you guys water. Yes, like water. I'm good, thank you. Okay.
I have some money in the truck.
No, I took the whole day. Make sure you get what it said.
Oh, yes. This is the prosecutor that serves you. You need to request to get paid for the subpoena under the Civil Rule 45.
Yeah.
So she's requesting to be paid for her subpoena, so does everybody else. Thank you.
I'll go, get drinks.
I'll get you some money.
Yeah, all right, glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's important. It has to be paid.
Oh, we'll file that actually, got this work.
What to get paid?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they came here without prepayment.
I'm sure the prosecutor knows how to handle it.
Well, I'll leave that, we'll leave to our lawyer.
I missed that, what was the fee?
All right.
For
I think we're-
hearings.
Hey, I think we'll be zooming, so. I think I tried to keep track of all the various items that are still there in this
This is the only
stack
one,
here.
but these are the.
Right.
For exhibits.
Thanks.
One seventy, there's this one, she had 4. And the rest of them that way around.
Oh.
Is that's right. She used to work for 3 times.
It is gonna be in the 90s again. Yeah.
Monday, we decide we can come in.
I haven't lied to him about it yet. It has been crazy. Last weekend. I don't have time.
Mr. Prosecutor, I would like to file a complaint against the city of not showing up on her subpoena. As far as I know, she should be arrested. If you want me to come to the office and make sure I write for you, but she was served and she's required to be present here. She didn't get excused and didn't get any of her
I
body.
won't get to it.
Please follow the rules.
She did contact me, and I
Oh,
did
then you're good.
contact the court to let them know she was not going to be present.
She needs a witness.
I
And she was
understand.
subpoenaed.
I did what I was asked, and I notified the
All right, now
court.
who do I file the complaint? You want me to go to sheriff?
Mr. Gold,
Should I go to the BCI?
Mr. Gold,
Yes, sir.
listen to me, this is gonna be important
Yes.
to the rest of your life.
Yes.
Shut up.
Okay. I'll go to the sheriff and find it.
There you go.
Would you like some water?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
intention, I'll wait for Charlie.
I was home mistaken. And I just told my boss, so
Get your two keys. I was talking to my husband.
Is amazing, room still including furnace. It's warm. There's probably, there's at least a 25% chance it's not gonna. I won't. But I'm going to request. Go into executive session with it first.
Okay.
If we need it.
If everyone else agrees with me.
Okay, so I can only say what I saw.
No,
So I'm going to his residence.
But I don't.
That's exactly, I know the time, what he had on.
Charlie, it's gonna be my intention to ask for, when we go back into session, that we go into executive session, just for us to determine if we're gonna, are we gonna produce any evidence, et cetera, so that the parties know where the board's position is. And then we'll come back based on our discussion and go from there. If that's okay with everybody.
Do you have any records? Do you have to formally introduce the records in?
Oh, to keep her from. Oh, we're going to keep her photos.
I'm particularly interested.
Well, first thing, I think we're gonna do is go into executive session. Just long enough for us to talk.
Well, we should ask if there's any more witnesses. We should ask if either one of you have any more witnesses.
What's that?
We should ask if they have any more witnesses.
Oh, I will. I don't know. I'm gonna clear that.
That's fine, I just needed a break.
Oh, no, I was already looking at.
Yeah, I was like, 2 hours, that's a long time.
Especially with people talking over one another.
Yeah, it's okay. So anyway.
Right. Come in early. Oh.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh.
Melvin, you want to make a picture of the executive session?
I said it all.
No, we're not doing that yet.
I
will, yeah.
Great t-shirt. No, there's somebody here, there's somebody here. No, yeah, that's it. Here we go. Got me a.
Trustee Lucy.
Yes, I can take a seat.
That's my outside.
I brought you some water if you'd like.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Well, I'll leave that up to We're ready.
Okay, can you remember that? Just a reminder. Reactions.
But yes,
Yeah.
okay, I have 11:11, so.
Thank you. We're gonna go back into session. I'll first ask, Mrs. Glavis, we were still in your case. Did you have any further witnesses?
I think that's the lot.
Okay, thank you. Did the protester have any further witnesses?
Yes, sir.
All right. I know we just all got together. I'm going to ask if I could have a board member move to go into executive session for the purpose of talking with our attorney. It's not for the purpose yet of making a decision.
Yes,
It's
please call me.
I told you what's good for you.
I understand
And
that,
you don't
but
seem
please
to
call.
pay attention. Do not speak unless spoken to. Is there any part of that instruction you're missing?
I just want to know.
Are you, yes, a yes or no question. Do you understand what I said? Yes or no?
Sure, yes.
Thank you. Now, can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Yes, I move that we go into an executive session to consult with our attorney, not to make a decision on today's.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. We're going to go into executive session at 11:12.
Okay, I'm going to go.
And we're going to leave so that you don't have to get up again. And if you want to go outside where it's cooler, I don't know.
What time?
It's 11:12. I just,
I gotta get. She's asking what time to return.
unfortunately, we can't say. I'm hopeful this is a procedural thing. I'm hoping it's 5 minutes. But again, we got 3 lawyers on this board. And,
Okay.
you know, when we write a brief, we think 300 pages brief. I wanted to take
that stays
this stuff just so we could have our discussion.
They cannot.
I hope that's all.
I'm gonna, you have a picture of this.
You took a picture of that? Okay.
Well, it's.
Sounds like.
Nah, you're good. No, I need. He has a long time.
Yeah.
What?
You would be the person. What,
Where is the end of the?
Yeah, I was just saying.
No, like not reading the code.
Show me speaking to their lawyers within the law.
Monday's Labor Day parade.
It's not.
And it starts.
parade's the big.
The big.
I thought Cypress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't say they can switch everyone from the.
No, I didn't think there was a Monday one. I think that's a Saturday one.
They need to prepare the reasons they go. Speaking to the authorities like this, they it's not. You dropped it off.
Well, technically.
There's only one class they can use, and under that class, if any is present, they cannot go to executive session. I even quote it over them. Laws must be followed even in the Board of Election. There's good enough reasons for
Nothing
it.
else is gonna happen. I mean, they will eventually come.
Oh, I already did it. It's not Monday,
The only one,
it's
Dave.
September 2nd.
Everybody
So you're
says.
registered for the.
I already
Person
did.
subject is here, they can request her to be open with them. They didn't
They're
even say they had to
I'm
announce.
still working on the head of the sun, and she's coming out Thursday.
Okay. So yeah, Robin, this is me.
Come back.
No court act was here.
There you go, and I have a boost third, you can have one. Why not?
Request that.
Section 3.
And
So
they'll make a decision.
Yeah.
Can you guys request the clerk?
I already did it.
Okay.
I registered for the parade.
Oh, yeah.
Section 3. Conferences for church or public bodies and disputes of public body that are subject to pending or imminent.
Court, there is no court action.
There
Right
is
now, there is no, this is not a court. It's not court action.
to be sued, and you probably will.
There's no court.
Huh?
There is no pending court, no. They make an assumption, they can what?
Public concerns disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court
There
action.
is no pending or imminent.
Except for Saturday, not Monday.
Yeah. She can, because
No, the only thing they can go on is the one I want. That's the only one they can sell. We're nothing more.
And that's,
And this is not.
yeah, and then it gets.
I don't know,
I didn't know it was the actual.
I don't.
Never seen Labor Day parade.
It's out of the.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
But I tell you what,
Right.
Day needs to be.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care about, it hasn't.
It's crazy. Think about how.
Are there other words for what this is? There are other words.
What they decide. I know. Well,
Is that right? That's interesting.
They didn't make it to it.
It's like they just don't get it.
Was it?
They don't understand.
How significant.
Right.
So I don't think it's.
and I disagree.
Yeah.
Of what?
Number 3.
Are you reading it?
The roll down there with actually hollow. So I said.
The motion is imminent.
Really?
Inside.
Right inside. So.
I think so too.
Imminent is like.
Yeah.
But yeah. Goes away.
I mean, Dave's, what's his face?
Oh, yeah.
I know. Yeah.
It's not good.
That last year's meeting.
Go ahead.
It was.
They did to go to conference.
It's great.
It's very, very tricky to use.
It's used. I'm sorry, it's used so much.
Oh, we might get certain.
Well,
You and
I had a question about that.
Why
She has the light. What's the
I'm sure they
I don't know because they kicked me out.
Really?
I just want to.
Right, yeah, but they went and stuff about what the already said.
Sorry, yeah.
Obvious what was going on. But since I can't change it, I based worship on I've not gone and picked up the documents to read what they're. I'm, if I'm like that, I'm changing 3 minutes.
Oh, I see it now.
I see it, my 5 minutes.
I got it.
I agree with you.
And they weren't good, they were nose beans in the end zone. Well,
All our summaries are
remember
not
the
summaries.
Seton?
I think it's been that 25 years, I know what to do.
He was running right at it.
You can't just sit there last week.
And any of that, yeah.
All the seats doors are pretty good.
Authorize the transfer of funds. That's all it said.
You know,
I had some
She
big
works for Marietta at the time. She might want to take the second.
I'm gonna support it.
Council President, yes.
Yes.
It's not,
She might not even know.
it's not as easy to investigate.
Yeah, I mean.
I read her article last time.
By
my
See,
count.
Dad,
Besides the fact that they
It's
claimed
all-
that lady was a postal service and she wasn't.
By my count, 99% of the legislation that I charter.
Yes.
Marshall.
is emergency.
That's a high percentage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
I was there. Oh, that's what you got?
4 or 5.
79? See, I missed some. Mine, ones I've gone through.
Oldest daughter went to WVU.
And these, you can suspend the rules. You don't have to, and it's long.
But, she grew up.
In my town,
So
long
I used to go over a bucket.
they can go read a bill, they're only reading it to some, they're not reading a full. First time they read that. Only reading, they're basically reading a summary. Suspend the rules and vote. The longest would take 95 seconds. From the time you introduce it again. Okay, the next morning, the mayor signed into law. So it's an issue that somebody wants to talk to, so we talk to all one. Like, are you with the leasing the buildings?
I'm sure there's, your boss knows about it, and it was reported. I'm sure there's.
Do you know how many people use the shop? Next to the repair car. When we lease the contract, that contract.
Oh, yes, they call the entire department.
Union jobs.
They're all union jobs. Yes. And I was saying, that's the reason. Get rid of the union.
Now, you realize that union comes up for a contract.
Last year was.
December 31st. Yes.
Yes.
So, this no,
Go through our process.
one clause that helps everybody.
Probably get passed, we suspend order for all the downtown businesses.
Contributed to
And
certain.
she's got one of them. It's a bigger book. People that are, working.
Thanks.
What did you say, residential challenge? Because we don't have, do we have?
I know it is for. I think let's go back to the
Ours was the same way.
Recently discovered mold governing food trucks and had Chick-fil-A, and suspended after enforcing and chasing out Jimmy Alcott. But they put, Chick-fil-A.
Comes up at the end of the year, nobody's paying.
What rules, we just.
Everybody in the city is part of that contract agreement gets insurance.
It's like, there's no anywhere.
I know.
We haven't needed it, like, Carson has moved.
Everybody, when you slash.
That's where it hurts. Yeah, I know. When you asked that question, you figured it out, was you pressed it?
Listen, I want to work the council for a while. I want to be able to.
I just want to.
Oh, I like it. Just catch a signal, see you coming in.
I got to,
This wasn't even.
Yeah, I know what I like. I haven't checked the other one.
oh, they're popping up when I go to those.
Yes.
Yes.
So, sophisticated items for me.
Usually.
Oh, I.
I got a prototype.
can read that one, just
Run through my class. Can you tell me about this in the back?
I love it.
Oh, she said that she saw you outside like this.
I was taking them.
I just assumed that it was ABC.
How did you figure that
Now, and then she turns and says, okay, this is not an issue. But now I looked at it and said, that's me. Why, Ron? I'm the president.
That's why Marietta Times, it's like, it's the same reason.
That sounds like
Right, it flows over.
No, Nancy's not.
So when I have the water circulating,
I got
it's way out there.
Yeah, that's,
Yes, good idea. If you're interested, I've got it.
With his little arm sticking out.
You don't actually have to show somebody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, they
I just got a friendship. I know.
I bypass it and all that, but if you're interested, I can come take a look at it. Just choose not.
And I want to
try it mine out first. I never to do that again.
Well, what you have to remember, it's not the soak, it's the result of the soak.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say, I do feel.
She figured you were.
It was
alive the whole time. I saw some medical insurance.
Yeah, oh, I'll never forget it. I kind of
That
like
said
it.
that there's 200% increase in dopamine after.
Everybody can say and used as recovery, muscle recovery, you can stave off soreness.
And this is yours? Oh, that's right. Yeah, but he didn't do anything other than like.
Your recovery times are
Okay.
fractions. So, and it's more effective than using ice and vinegar. Right, well, because ice, you're touching, you're only getting the one, once you get a bag of ice. This is immersive and it's, because when you touch something, you don't feel cold, you feel heat leaving your body.
I got
Maybe not.
no idea.
So,
Yeah, I got all the ideas in the world.
when you touch this paper, when you touch this desk, this paper feels warmer than the desk, but it's not at the same temperature. It feels warmer because it's more insulated.
I think so.
And heat is moving your body as fast.
That's really cool.
When outside how the car could get.
So I don't really see.
If you want to scream back, you should take shots.
Yeah, oh, God.
That's the one that one's like you on the. Everything is recorded.
Everything is active and play.
It's the same thing. When I say cold, you don't need your body.
Okay.
When I feel.
You need to have it. You don't have, yeah.
When
Yeah, but you don't have to.
when you leave the job.
I need the children.
Water is very
They
good at.
try to do behind their place to park 9:30, go, oh my God. You're coming too, right? Yeah. So drop them off.
Don't put it in. Put it in.
What time
So you can hang whatever you want.
Is that what time I will be there with you?
Yeah, that's
What
right.
o'clock?
Yeah,
you need to be there like,
So
I don't
what
know.
do physiology is, if we get in that thing.
You can say that.
Yeah, we have a good talk, when this is, when this day is over, we have
Trying to
to
think
talk
through
about
the
it.
physiology of it.
Yeah, my expertise is not a physical aspect of it, it is the heat transfer.
Yes, they did it all.
People ask.
Yeah, maybe I did it all, maybe your mom
I
and,
know how to work.
yeah. I've got 20 pounds of candy, feel free to get one. I don't know, she asked how much, no, I 20 pounds of candy, but it's in that box. Right, he's saying, be judicious. Yeah. I have it in that.
It's always safe for the kids at the end are always
Yeah, your grandkids ate much the last time. Like,
And all of a sudden they started getting orders.
Blow up like,
Oh.
and we'll let him throw them out.
There we go.
We'll say those to the end.
Health and fitness spas.
Yeah, Ari,
That's,
a convertible that Dave's using.
that, I started getting orders for that, so I just kind of moved away from.
On Bethel, a convertible. Rockers is created, Ari. Okay, so can you show us my driveway? That helps. I can clean it up.
I mean, yeah, I think so. It probably don't work anymore, but yeah. Yeah, I think it does, yeah. There's some air, when you moving through the hallway and stuff, so.
Yeah, oh, what people? Commodore, we'll use them, run around and.
I'll make a motion at 11:31, we come out of executive session.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passed. The first order of business is, just again, to be sure, you have closed your evidentiary side of the case.
Unless there's gonna be more evidence presented either in the form.
Well, if there is, we're not going to say, you quit. You certainly get to rebut anything. And the same is true with the protester?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. I believe in our discussions, we had some questions about some documents we received through our subpoenas. Am I correct about that, folks?
Yes, that is correct.
And the board wishes to call Mr. Gold, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, you can hand those out now to each side. Thank you. Is that all? That's the whole group?
Yeah, that's
Should be a packet of 3. All right. So the board is going to call Ari Gold to the stand. And Mr. Gold, I apologize, I don't recall if were you sworn in?
Yes, but I was told to shut
Okay,
up.
good. Have a seat.
So I'm allowed to speak now?
You're
take this
allowed
with
to
me?
answer questions. Well, I think they're going to be handing you the originals, so these are copies. All right.
This is the AEP.
AEP, okay. There you go.
So, Mr. Lovitz,
Why don't you
I'm
start
sorry,
by
Mr.
giving
Gold.
Name and address.
Yes, please state your name and address.
Ari Gold, 286 Front Street, Marietta.
And Mr. Gold, I think I've handed you, or we've handed to you, a copy of an AEP bill for 286 Front Street.
I've never seen papers looking like that, but I'll have to believe you. The bill usually looks different.
Would you take a minute to look through it?
I looked through it, but this is definitely not a bill. This says credit summary.
Okay, well, would you kindly look at the summary and tell me if that squares with what you know the bill to be?
I don't know what the bill is. I've got 100 properties, they're all on the pay. I don't understand the question.
Well, let me ask you this. If AEP responded with a subpoena and provided us with a summary, do you have any reason to doubt that summary?
No.
And this residence, according to the records there, it appears as if, what does this bill cover if you know?
It says customer information, Emmanuel LLC, 286 Front Street.
Okay, how many bills do you receive for your buildings at 286 Front?
4.
You have 4?
Yes.
Okay, so what is included in each bill?
There are 4 meters, I pay 4 bills. There is no separation between them, if that's what you're asking.
So what do you have 4 bills for?
286, 286 and a half, 284, 284 and a half.
All right, so it's 286, 286.
No, sorry, 286 front, 284 front. That's how they call it.
286 front.
Yeah, it's 286 front street, front, 286 front street, 284 front street, 284 front street, front.
Okay, so if this just says.
That's what it says.
So if this just says 286 front, would that be the restaurant or the apartments? Or one of the-
It will be one of 4 bills. But there is no separation, so there are 4 meters.
Okay.
The wires goes everywhere.
All right.
I can't tell you which meter is responsible for what bill. I can tell you that I pay 4 bills and the average about the same every time. $1,000 a month.
So you don't know which meter goes to which one?
I mean, I didn't make them, so.
Oh, no, I
can't make a promise.
understand. Yeah,
So I can
yeah.
tell you that some run stuff downstairs, some run stuff upstairs, like when the espresso machine stops, it pops like the breaker on the other building, so I can't tell you which goes where.
Okay, all right. So let's kind of that one.
Did you say you actually get 4 bills or you get 1 bill that includes all 4?
4 different bills. One is address 286 Front Street. One is address 286 Front Street Front. One is called 284 Front Street. One is called 284 Front Street Front.
Okay. So. Now, I think we just handed to you a Warren Community Water and Sewer Association. Do you recognize that?
Okay, it's in a different form that I'm used to, but yes.
And would this appear to be accurate?
I mean, I know that they always draw the minimum, which I believe is either 20 or 25 bucks per service. But it's all, again, it's automatically paid, I don't really pay. I mean, I paid, but I don't go into it.
And then now I'm going to show you the last bill, which is the Washington Electric Cooperative. Before I finish it, so on the Warren bill, does it look accurate to you, the amount?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yes.
I have no clue what my bills are. I pay $60,000 a month on utility bills on all my properties. I have no clue what goes where.
And if we had issued a subpoena to Warren Water and they provided that, do you have any reason to doubt the accuracy of that?
I can tell you there is one problem with that bill. It shouldn't say Ari Gold next week. It should only say David Lapis. Because I've never changed the name in the water department, so I have reason to believe that this was out there. Because it says over here, David Lapis, Ari Gold. I've never given them the name Ari Gold. So I have a problem with that.
But is the amount correct?
I would assume so. It's always the minimum.
And now on the Washington Electric,
Yes.
you recognize that?
Again, this does not look like my bill. And I
Well, keep looking, because after that, before it's paid in, there are more.
Oh, and it says bank drafted. I don't open the envelopes. I probably find them at home. I have all the bills in a closed envelope, it was never opened.
So you don't look at your bills? Again, I'll ask you as I did on these others, if Washington Electric Cooperative provided us with these documents as a result of a subpoena request, do you have any reason to doubt their accuracy?
Nope.
How many tenants did you have at 286 Front Street from, say, January through May of 2023?
January to, so this year.
Yes.
So I have myself and 3 more.
So 4 tenants, 4 apartments are occupied from January through May or so this year.
Unless there was maybe one of the back units, I had a switch on or when they moved in the new tenants, or that there were a couple, but I wanna say,
Yeah.
the girls in the back were there.
They were the one that got there, yeah.
Okay, so yes.
wife moved in January or thereabouts?
I mean.
Do you remember?
So to be precise on the date,
Yes.
I used to live in West Virginia for a period of time. And then I started moving my stuff to the Marietta property in September 9th of 2022. At that time, I started cleaning the place. There were some issues that had to be taken care of. And then we started moving our stuff. I started moving the stuff, and my wife was in her last month or two of pregnancy because she couldn't carry stuff.
So you never lived on Bethel Road?
Oh, I didn't. I owned the building for 5 years.
Oh, I know, but so you didn't live there? You said you used to.
Of course I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Okay, so I lived in West Virginia. I moved to Bethel. There was a period of time when I was like, I'm done with Ohio. I moved to West Virginia again. It was about 4 months, 5 months. I got my craziness. I moved back into Ohio after that.
And do you remember when you lived in West Virginia?
Yeah, in 2022.
In 2020?
The beginning of 2022. For about 4 or 5 months.
And prior to that, you were Bethel. So you were Bethel, then you went to West Virginia, and then you started moving back into Front Street.
No, started at West Virginia. Then I moved to Bethel. Then I moved to West Virginia. Then I moved back.
Oh, okay. All right.
My life here started in around Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Okay, so you go to Bethel for what, 5 years, you said?
I don't know, you ever see that?
Okay. And so when did you first move from West Virginia to Bethel? If you remember.
Somewhere between 2016 to 2018.
Okay.
I would say. All right. I can look at the records.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions.
Anything else? No? All right. Any question?
I do.
Well, yeah.
If you don't mind, I think you're
That's what I'm
not.
asking.
So this is my first impression of this response to the subpoena for
Well, I'm not
AEP.
interested yet. Yeah. You have questions for the witness?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So, let's see. Mr. Gold, so will you, let's go to the AUP packet.
Go ahead, yes.
Yeah, let's go to that. Now, can you read the account number for us there? It's not very well printed.
107-581-8885.
-7.
I don't have a 7 here on mine.
So I'm looking at this
Are
page.
we looking at different stuff?
Page.
Oh, down there, oh, I was
summary.
looking up here, it says account
Yeah.
information 07. Okay.
Oh, you're right, that's two different numbers, yeah.
107-581-88857.
Okay. And this isn't what you get in the mail.
Absolutely no.
All right. I'm gonna hand you something. Go ahead and read me the account number at the top of that page.
107-581-88857.
Okay. And if you would please, it's gonna take some time, but will you confirm that the account number is the same on that stack of bills?
It does make sense.
Go through the whole stack. if you-
Oh, the whole stack, yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, which one are you looking at now?
Is this from before?
This packet is mine. I'm
Yeah, I
about
was
to
gonna
fork it
say,
over.
Okay.
Right.
So
It's-
we don't have that.
It corresponds to the AEP.
No, I understand
Right,
that,
but you don't have it
but
yet.
we don't have that yet. Okay.
Correct. I didn't make copies because I didn't anticipate needing it, but apparently I did. So we'll have to pass it along.
They all have the same number.
And is this account number the same that's on the response to the AEP subpoena? All right, now, let's start with the first bill we have here at the top of the pile. And these look like the bills that you get,
They don't match.
right? Which packet looks like the bills that you received?
These are the bills I'm getting.
The ones I handed you.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
let's go through the amounts and the dates listed on the bills.
Okay. So the first one says February 22, 2023,
And what's the amount?
$292.74.
Okay,
Bill mailed, date is January 31, 2023.
okay,
Over here it says 194.37 cents. Okay.
so there's a discrepancy.
On the first one, yes.
All right, let's continue.
This one says, amount due before March 20. Bill mail date is March 1st, 2023. And it states over here, $260.04.
And that does not match the bill total on the response to the subpoena, does it?
This response to subpoena is lower.
Okay, let's keep going.
This is bill mailing date is March 30, 2023.
All right, how much did they bill you?
$275.55. It does not mention numbers in the.
Okay, which one's higher?
This one you gave me.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay, I have bill mailing date is May 1st, 2023. It says $394.97. It is more than $100 higher than this one.
Okay. So we're gonna go on and on like this. I'm just gonna cut it short.
Okay.
We have the same account number listed here. When we start here, account number 10581-888-57. And then we have the amounts listed here. Now, the bills that Mr. Gold gets, right here. Account number 107-581.
Oh, wait a minute, this is one of the bills he gets.
Yeah, one of the, one of four.
So we don't know which one,
Correct, but this is the same account number.
but
And this
they
is-
all have the same
No,
account.
4 different account numbers.
4 different account numbers. This one is much higher. So I'd like to submit this, and I would dispute the accuracy of this. But at any rate, there's 4 utility bills from AEP that go to the total of the restaurant and the apartments upstairs, correct?
Yes.
How much about do you pay every single month?
I would estimate around $1,000.
All right, thank you very much. That's it. Your witness.
Can we see?
Sure, I only have one copy.
Well,
but
the board can
it's-
do it first.
So, yeah.
We just wanted to look at it.
It'll get to you. I don't know.
I've never seen it before.
Too low.
I knew there was one that I needed. Which year do I need to do today?
It says charge 16, something is wrong with your
It does match. They do match, actually. They are the same. They match.
Okay,
We just went through, so.
okay, so where the,
Can we just see that?
Yeah, sure. No, we just went through, and if you look at them and compare them to the actual dates to this, they do match. We matched them up. They just look
with
a
the
little
amounts?
differently.
The
Yes.
amounts do not match.
Yes, they do. We just did it.
The current charges match.
The current charge matches.
May not be the total bill, but the current charges match.
Okay, can I see this again?
Balance forward.
I don't know if that's what they call it.
Oh, I think.
Balance forward is obviously a.
Well, they subpoenaed it's only from one party. I think there's a second company.
We just went through and we picked 3 random and they were the same.
Uh-huh. They are the same from Ohio AEP charges. There's also a charge from Energy Harbor.
Well, we're talking about AEP.
Right.
That's not my electric.
So the electric bill is not just AEP. It's a total of the 2 providers with the total.
We were looking at AEP because that's what we had subpoenaed and they are correct.
Okay. On the subpoena,
Yes.
these aren't the electric bills that you pay, are they?
No.
You pay more than this, don't you?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
So are you gonna submit those?
Sure.
Yeah, did you get him a copy? Did you look
We
at
have to
it?
make
Yeah, I don't.
Did you take a look at it?
This
I
is my-
did, yes,
okay.
ma'am, thank you.
This is my first time seeing this one, so.
Well.
We can take that to make copies.
Oh, that's right.
All right.
Are you done?
We're
Do you have
done.
any other questions?
For Mr. Gold?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about the water bill. So let's go to what was subpoenaed from Warren Community Water and Sewer Association. Mr. Gold, does this look like the bill that you get?
No,
Okay. How much do you pay every month on water for Bethel?
$20 around this. I know they raised it $2 a couple months ago. So I paid the base, because we rarely consume water.
Okay. Over here on the first page that shows an actual bill, what is the payment?
But the first one I have says statement date, what is it, 6 is June 28th. It says charge $60, and then it says payment 20. I think 20, I never paid 60. I don't know what that 60 is.
It says previous balance 20, and then it says payment 20. It says current charges 20, and then it says total due,
But then on the current charges, I don't know, the paper I have says 60.
right? But you pay $20 a month on the water.
It looks like that tablet is on, but,
Does it ever vary?
I mean, one time we had to do.
Alright. All right, that's all I have. That account is auto pay?
Besides when my credit card was stolen, when I forgot to pay it, and I had to, that's when they reported over them, like. What's stolen that one?
What about the Washington Electric Cooperative?
It has been drafted like since the beginning of time. It's bank drafted, it's not even on credit card, since I opened it. I've never opened it, I have envelopes at home, they're still closed.
Do you
Probably in
access-
2019,
Do you access that account online ever?
I even know I can.
So how do you keep track of how much it costs?
I don't.
Okay. I'm finished.
And follow up.
Actually, how much do you pay on your water bill for Front Street?
So there are 2 bills. So there are 2 meters.
Sure.
I would assume every bill is about $400 or $500.
That's it.
Did you have anything else?
Not for Mr. Gold.
Right.
Well,
so many other
Yeah.
questions we could. And,
Did you have a question, sir? Okay, yes, sir.
you have nothing further, the board has nothing further, so I guess we'll take our votes.
The water, we understand the water person is here, water.
Oh, well, we have, I'm trying to get, finish up Mr. Gold.
Oh, I think we're done with this.
Send it back on, see if we'll take- I'm trying to
Yeah.
make sure we keep.
There may be.
What's wrong with these? You wanna take it?
Yes,
All right.
please. Thank you.
I'm done?
For now.
Is that you? I think we're calling. She needs to be sworn in, please.
I was sworn in when I first walked in.
Oh, did you?
Oh, you were sworn in? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
I guess I didn't understand that I was supposed to give them to you. I thought I was supposed to bring them with me, so.
We'll make copies. Okay, let me go ahead and see what you've got there, and while you're doing that, would you state your name for the record and where you work?
Kim Noe, Nohe. I work for the city of Marietta Water Department.
Make sure you keep your voice up
Yes.
so that everyone can hear and we're also broadcasting.
Okay.
How long have you been in this position?
27 years.
So you brought with you some copies that we've not had a chance to see yet, so we're also looking at this for the first time. These appear to be bills and maybe some handwritten statements for meter readings or.
It's the history, it's a statement of the account from the time period that was requested. It's a copy of the meter card where we read the water meter for that property. Anything attached to that property at 286 Front.
Right. And so the service address simply reads 286 Front Street.
Yes, there's only one meter there.
You said there's only one meter there. We've heard Mr. Gold reference 2 meters. Could that be
I was requested for it could be, I was requested to bring documents for 286 Front Street, that is all for 286 Front Street. But I did hear mention of 284, but I didn't have information for that.
So as far as you know, these bills represent the water usage for the entirety of 286 Front Street?
Yes, ma'am.
We're gonna wanna make copies.
Yeah.
You wanna share that, since I guess we're done with it, I want you to give it first to the protester, arguably against ask questions first. Or shift it over.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, were there any copies?
I don't think
Yes, I guess so.
I'm just saying.
Is this one copy or?
Oh, no, you have a copy of the Washington Electric co-op. Then we have that back, we need to redact the social security number that's on there.
A whiteout, yeah.
Why don't I just give you everything back? Because it's
Just the Washington Electric.
just the Washington Electric, this.
Yes, that one. And then we'll give you a redacted copy. That's the other one.
Oh, this one is. Do you have a Washington Electric?
Yeah, but you're still.
I want them all redacted.
That number represents. Did we give you one, did we give you a Washington Electric as well?
Yeah.
With Robbie?
You need one?
Yes.
I think it was the first time.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, you want to give two so we can redact the.
We just want to remove the social security number.
Oh, from my copy?
Mine.
Wow.
I keep
I mean, if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, it stays, it stays.
We want to-
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. My copy,
It's ours.
mine.
All right. So,
Thank you, I tried. I was given permission to speak.
Washington Electric. It's all Washington Electric. Clean water also have that. So that's a phone. I think it's just a phone. We're getting copies.
We have to come back this way. I just saw cursory glance, you
Oh,
got
not
copies.
taking it to make copies. I'm just making sure that we're all of it off somewhere.
We want to take our box back by any chance? We need, going on evidence?
Well, I thought we had a picture.
You did.
And I thought if the picture is satisfactory, we're gonna be comfortable with the photo.
Yeah.
If you have something for the box.
I like it.
Yeah, that's fine. Get the box.
No, framing, we need framing.
I always have a need for it until I know something to throw it away.
That's
It's like, well, you go to a closet, there's 7 of them.
You want to go off the map? Yeah.
We're gonna go off the record.
Oh, I'm saying, yeah, we're just chatting.
As soon as we go back on the record, then we'll, if there are any questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
Mark needs redacted.
You want-
Yeah, I can do it.
It's just the social on all 4 copies.
On all 4 copies.
Okay.
Everything else is
Copies
redacted.
again.
Good.
No, this is really current and changes.
Any questions?
Yeah, but I don't care about the gap, but she doesn't say it. Maybe it's gonna be.
Oh, I was going to get kids by 9:30. Great. Like go in, watch it go by and stuff.
Go back on this.
The parade. Kids got off.
Wow.
It's not far.
They can be on the trailer.
Well, no, it's open. We'll see. I can get up in the back.
Okay, and one goes back to, okay, Mr. Ashworth?
Yeah, one from Mr. Ashworth.
You have my copy.
Yeah.
Okay.
This just as a copy or is it the original?
Yeah.
All right, this is the original.
Yeah, that's got it, okay, hand it over, we'll get that.
Those are the three originals. Trying to keep them short so they don't confuse.
Here in the back, okay.
All right. So we're now back on the record.
Yes.
We're good? We're on the record. Did the protester have any questions as a result of the subpoenaed exhibit? Protester, any questions? Mrs. Lavis, did you have any questions?
I will, just briefly, thank you. So let's turn to, well, do you have a copy or just
Give her
that copy?
Do you have a copy of the ordinance or the original?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
This is the original.
Thank you. Thank you.
So front page, relevant, second page, not really short, so let's go to the third page. Top says transaction statement, right? So we have a relevant period here from October of 2022 until July of 2023, is that correct?
Actually, this is August 21st, 2023.
August 21st.
That's the date that I was.
Oh, I see. Okay, great. So what's the highest bill that you see over there?
365.92 in May.
May of 2023? Okay.
The actual bill was 311.15 on April 19th, but the payment that was made must have been a balance or something prior, but yeah.
Okay.
Can you speak up, please?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And again, you were subpoenaed only for 286 Front Street.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not subpoenaed for 284. Are you aware if there is or is not meter for 284?
Not without looking.
Okay.
And if there's an address, but I can put it there.
Thank you very much.
That it?
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much for attending. You may stay or leave, Mr. Sobelson. Does the board have any other witnesses to call?
I would like clarification as to whether the apartment that you live in, would it be considered on the 286 side or the 284 side?
The apartment is physically, physically, it will be located on both. The door to access my apartment is located at 286 Front.
Okay. The apartment itself,
The square footage is going to, if you want to slice it with a meat cleaver, right? The square footage would encompass,
well, I'm just trying to figure out, with the water bill for 284 perhaps might actually be the water bill for your apartment. That's, I'm just trying to figure that out.
No, so we can recall Mr. Gold to talk about the utilities. I can't speak to utilities.
You want me to see? How do we?
No, line lows, we're just getting.
Because I don't know.
clarification.
I'm just,
I don't want to
so
be-
you don't know.
He set up the water accounts and the water bill, so he can answer that question. I can't tell.
Well, Mr. Gold, can you answer the question?
I can tell you right now, those two bills were going together.
Well,
Where is the apartment located?
Where Mrs. Labus lays her head at night.
It leans 286 Front Street.
So the water bill for 286 would encompass your apartment, or does the water bill for 284?
That's not necessarily the case. That is the problem when it comes to the water bills. You see, when we set up 286 Front Street, 286 Front Street was feeding the restaurant, and it was feeding the upstairs. Then we built 284 Front Street, okay? But we started by building just the restaurant, and one of you were actually the person in charge of it. And then the water meter went there. At some point of time, we built the upstairs. I have no clue what pipe goes where. They're all in the same line. I can't guarantee what goes where, so I can't make a commitment.
So the answer is you don't know.
Yeah, but I can tell you where the
Which water goes, which water
I don't know
bill
what
applies to
electricity
which.
goes anywhere else.
Okay. All right.
Do you have any other questions or clarifications? Anyone else?
There's a water meter there's two water meters, right?
Yes.
Now, did you buy 284 and 286 at the same time?
No.
So therefore, 284 and 286 before you bought it, had two different water meters?
No. 284 never existed. The building was caught on fire 15 years before that. When I bought it, there was nothing in that building.
So when did the second meter come?
When we got the permit for the apartments. We had to do it.
Well, when you say
Sewer
that the
wise.
apartment didn't exist, I mean, the building, obviously physically the building existed, but there was nothing inside. It hadn't been developed because of fire and it just been left to that night.
Yes, when we ran the pipes, we had to connect the sewer lines to 284 4th Street. The sewer only. That was the requirements of the water department. We couldn't run it through the concrete in the basement, because the basement has concrete, but upstairs did not have concrete. It was all drywalls. So we had to run it, and to do that, we have to connect to the sewer line. I can't just like dump stuff to the sewer without having a gate.
So the sewer is through 284
I mean,
for the apartments?
the apartments pipes
Yeah.
goes down to the basement. 286 apartments go down the basement to 286. They've been there forever,
Right.
I would assume.
Yeah.
284 goes down to, it can go to 286. The water inlet goes up and connects. So they feed each other in most cases.
So
The reason for it, by the way, is the fact that the restaurant consumes hot water more than the apartment. And then the water heaters creates a problem because then the apartments, if they shower in the morning, when you fill up the sinks, they don't have hot water. So unfortunately, we have to use both buildings to fill up the hot water, which was a problem with Carson Long, and he can testify if you want.
No, I mean, I get that, but I'm just trying to figure out which bill corresponds to which, and it sounds
We can open the
like
walls
look
if
at
you
both
want.
of them probably. Yeah, okay.
I'm game.
That's all.
All right, anything else? All right, so the board has completed its portion of questions regarding items that were subpoenaed. Okay. Did the protester have any additional evidence?
No, sir.
Does Mrs. Labus have any additional evidence?
Evidence? No.
Right, very good. All right. If I recall, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we are not going to make a final decision today. We're not. We are going to be very prompt about it though. But we are going to go into executive session to begin our deliberations. We cannot make a decision. We have to announce anything we do, a decision at a public, to the public and so forth. So it's a deliberative process. There was discussion that if either side, you know, we're not going to get closing argument. We're not interested in closing argument. This is a quasi judicial hearing. I perfectly understand both of your positions. I believe the board understands completely both of your positions, and I would hope you would have sort of figured out we understand the evidence that you presented based on some of our questions, trying to get clarification so we understood what your particular point was with each of the witnesses at any exhibit. So we're not gonna spend time doing closing argument. And so we're gonna take this under advisement, and go into executive session, both to discuss the case and also to, I guess, administrative issues about when we're going to announce our decision. And we can make that then public, that our announcement time. Did I get that correct?
That's right.
All right, so I need a motion to go, well, Mrs. Labus, I sort of saw your hand in Mr. Goldstein. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Chair. So pursuant to section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code, section G, except as provided in divisions G, H, and J of this section, the members of a public body may hold an executive session only after a majority of the quorum of public body determines by roll.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Reading way too fast.
That's okay. Long story short, I'm requesting that under section 121.2022, section G, that the deliberations related to whether or not I can exercise my constitutional right to run for office be done in public.
Oh.
Not an executive session.
Right. Well, that's fine. We've done this before, and so this is hardly our first rodeo on a protest and so forth. The decision itself and the deliberative process will be public, but we have the right to go into executive session to sort through our evidence, talk with our legal advisor, and that's why I said we're not making a decision today. I thought I made that early on. So we're not going to be making a decision on your case in the executive session. It'll be made in a public hearing.
Right, and
Right.
the deliberation as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sort of a strange combination and so forth. So I need a motion to go into executive session to get all our administrative stuff taken care of with our council.
I so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, passes. And you're free to stay, or you're free to go.
Are you planning?
This, I can't tell you how long it's.
Are you planning on coming back and then going back into a session and can't?
We could, but we're not deciding today.
Right.
But you have to announce if you're going back on a public session or not before you go on executive session.
Yeah, we're gonna come back into the public session, but again, we're not gonna make a decision without.
It's gonna.
So if you wanna sit around, that's great, but you may have other things you need to do and so forth, and we'll be notifying people as well as putting it out on our public access to the public as to when our decision, and the process will continue with our decision.
Dennis, I think if we come back today, it would only be to say we promise a decision by such and such a
Take
date.
this date,
That's
here's
it.
when we're gonna do it.
That's it. We're not gonna
Yeah.
do anything.
You're not gonna hear yay, nay, or anything like that.
24-hour public notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All that,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right,
And I understand we will not be afforded opportunity for closing?
that's correct.
Would you like to let me know?
Thank you.
I need a copy of everything, there are 3 hours and 37 minutes.
I'll just go ahead and have you text my he would have to close.
Right. I'll just say that you're. I'll just say you're.
Okay. I just want Joseph to come in. You know, Joseph. I'm probably gonna shut this down.
You pushed up this time you did the last time. And they didn't.
I don't believe so. We're not.
The reason for the Supreme Court.
What's that, Mark?
I was trying to figure out how to
I'll give you the Ohio Revised Code section.
She was
that
just
you were
here by
served
you.
with your subpoena. She left.
Just left. I announced to her that
Yep.
needs to be paid.
She knows. She was told everybody.
I can give you her email if you want.
Yeah.
We
So
can take
this
off work.
is,
Yeah, no, I can
so when you were served with your subpoena, you were given Civil Rule 45, which states that you are to be paid
Yep, they have to pay for your day and they have to pay
pursuant
for
to
your
being
money.
compelled to testify.
Is there gonna be another one here?
Nope, you want me to write it down for you?
So I can figure out where the hell it's.
What you need?
They want the prosecutor's email
No,
saying
I'll
that they
text
have
you, I'll
payment.
text you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll text everybody. Thank you. You don't want to get paid?
Mike, get your, if you get paid, it's your right.
It's your right.
It's your right.
I'm just saying, like,
All right.
well, I can do it up to the truck, so I promise.
I think it's 80. We're still alive. Hey, subpoena you. You too?
So you correctly.
These guys.
He gets paid the most because he's my
They asked
He gets exactly. They count your miles, they're calculating.
It's like, you know, like I'm out here, if I'm not coming downstairs.
You take it to the, go straight up to the house, like where I did.
No, you just email it to the book. You don't need to make a request, it doesn't have to be.
Just go to the next matter.
You must be that.
The intermental. It was worse, yeah. It was, how does this exist in America? I don't.
This is
This is like a banana republic.
I already know the outcome.
God, what is it?
They're gonna grant prove that.
Yeah.
They're supposed to.
Well, they don't have any reason, they have nothing against it.
How about that? What's gonna stop them, Mike?
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, they have to have
Well,
evidence.
What do you think, Jay?
this one needs to be included, so.
Yeah, oh, 100%.
She has an active fiduciary relationship with the man.
And she didn't in the previous hearing, and she voted in the previous hearing.
She will vote.
Did that help you with any names or anything? You good?
No, because I got all the names, the ones, I don't know if they all had affidavits, but I think they did.
They did,
They
yeah.
called, so I think we went through that pretty good, and they said.
No, it goes to the state.
And the state.
Well, before can vote, she can go to vote. It has to be, because it's also the state.
You're gonna have to get that one. Yes.
Like the lady in
Right.
office? Yeah.
You should request a presumption of innocence.
Oh, I agree with you, I mean, yes.
And for that reason, is the burden of proof that the doubt should be drawn appropriately, and then they could be redacted.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
sequence.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
Must be a resident for 1 year.
It's not,
You're worth like 5,000.
I agree with you.
I have another question. This is very,
This must have been,
it's very disappointing.
but it's a sign.
This
Yes,
was the best
this is what's
evidence
going
ever.
on.
It has her name, it has everything on it.
This is a political sign.
Yes, you
It's
like
just a
it.
trick. This is what mine came in.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I love physical evidence. I've never delivered a package.
Well, you didn't do it.
And opposite 286 Front Street.
There's a reason she wasn't here.
No, because she would have had to plead the
No,
fifth.
wait.
Yeah. God, no.
Why?
Because I'm way far behind on the parade, which starts in a minute now.
Pray, what pray?
Are you joining the parade?
Oh, yes, I am. Okay, matter of fact, you're providing me a vehicle.
I am. Are you joining my vehicle?
No.
No, he's,
Annie Annie said I could have the Corvette convertible from 67.
I don't think it will run, but.
I don't think it runs either.
But you can get the convertible Bronco if you want.
Fine.
Okay, there you go. Also,
We'll take the top off.
Yeah, we'll take the top off.
That's fantastic, that way I don't have to.
And it's orange, yellow, simple to see you. I mean, you can have kids anymore.
I have
Yeah, it fits your color.
I found a guy, Brian.
Hi, guys, just us.
Okay. Lives next to the Mac.
Hey, Shaker.
He's a CDL.
Oh, yeah.
You wait. And then
Yes.
the day to talk to him.
Candidate.
He comes with me and says, I don't know.
Probably don't know, I'm a candidate.
He signed up over right and they tried to stop him.
They tried to stop me.
Oh, you know.
I can force her to be.
Mary and I,
I was.
I remember.
18 to 14.
By the way, they tried to force me not to be right. They were giving the whole thing, and told me I can't go Mary.
Oh, but he said he was
No,
going to.
yeah, the third. And then the boss said,
I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They can't force it.
And he intercepted the path.
You've been here from the beginning, this was like.
Well, okay, so you can't run for mayor because you filed a tax extension. I don't get any of this. I get none of this.
Yes, and it shouldn't have anything to do with.
None of this had anything to do with anything, Mari.
Everybody from there.
What is going on?
They very trying to make sure that speaker is protected.
I'm understanding.
That's their goal.
I'm in much better.
That's their goal. So for them, they had me, giving us a right.
I just want to say, I made people laugh.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so what's our bill?
I'm not saying a word.
What's on, you want?
I don't know.
No.
What's the city?
So what's our logistics on how we?
I didn't drive in a couple of years.
Yeah.
What's our logistics on how we get this?
If you agree to dress as a revolutionary warrior, you're right in the car.
Oh, how would just meet down there? We'll have somebody drive it down.
You need somebody to drive?
No, I have somebody, yeah. I have a guy.
We'll take all the pieces
I
off.
have a guy with a CDL license. But he's offside. He's excited.
I think we need to like send this to CNN. Like, we need to make people aware of what's going on in the town.
Printed ballots.
Yeah, well,
Don't you think?
I don't know, I need to find out.
Instead of just, oh yeah, this is how they are.
It's on the Ohio website.
West Virginia.
Yeah, probably is Secretary of State election monitor.
Had an inception, and that's one of the games that saved the game. And so he's, I remember you covered it.
I don't understand why they need so much time. It's very clear to anybody who knows super and stuff to get on next part.
The headlines.
But that's exactly why there's, it was limiting.
That's exactly what.
That's exactly why it was limited. Because they're
all over.
Yeah, they're next part.
And he was playing free safety when he intercepted the pass. But he was all excited. I always want to thank you for that story. You know, like, he said, that was the greatest day of my life. You know, so there I am, super excited.
I think we need to let people in this state know what's going on.
What's going on in this county? I don't know.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So the absentee ballots go out September 22nd.
Oh, September 23rd.
Well, that's when the ballots go out. That's it, they didn't have a print out all next year. Yeah.
They called you.
Yes.
They subpoenaed.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
they can't really subpoena me, I'm the husband.
What is what the?
Oh, she got everything
Yeah,
for
I do.
6 months.
Oh.
They're not going to claim she's not a resident, please, of Marietta. They're not gonna make that, because that one's fine. They're gonna make one of two claims. One, that she didn't put in a parking. It's gonna be hard to sit there and begin to know this, behind people don't do that, including the guys committee.
Oh, I just,
Chief.
I kind of want
That's
to.
fine.
I didn't come out.
Yes, you know, for example, in the city, they said, "Oh, she didn't even-" When we take taxes, you can't try it. You just can't. They have a big problem. Now, does it mean they're not going to look? Well, they're going to look. But everything they're going to do from now on will be very problematic. We've proven racism, we've proven forgery, we're proving the line. Everything. Impersonating government employee, federal employee. Go to prison.
You're not gonna run against each other, and if they do, it'll be okay.
Why am I looking at this?
No, they're like super smart.
Are you going, Marietta, or you're?
Yeah, I gotta.
Is Sam the better there than?
Yeah, they're.
He already did it, came in at the last minute, it's already passed. It's over with. They couldn't wait until
I'll
after
see
this
you
was taken care of. Yeah, I see.
I'll stop by this week sometime.
It's all done, isn't
You know?
Yeah.
They're ahead of, they're ahead of me.
I'm-
They got it all covered.
You too.
Bye, Speedy. Yes, yes.
Bye, Robert.
Bye, thank you for coming.